I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is our moment of silence. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mason.
Present.
Trustee Reinders. Trustee McNaughton.
Present.
Trustee Consolino. Trustee Fialco. Trustee Stylen.
Present.
Mayor Knightsky-Troicki.
Present. Next, we have community recognition. Is Nicole Laha here? Here she is. Come on up to the podium, Nicole.
Everybody, and I forgot how that works clearly. So tonight I am here to acknowledge some of Homer Glen's very own. I was a former Homer Glen trustee, and now I have the privilege of being our state representative. And I sponsored a summer reading program from the Illinois House of Representatives. I was really excited to get as many submissions as we did, and was even more excited to see that these 7 people that completed it, 4 of them are from Homer Glen. So I'm extremely excited to be here tonight to present them with these awards. So, Mayor, would you like to come up and take pictures? Or do you want the trustees with everybody with this? Sure, perfect. All right, my first recipient is Sophia Skelly. Sure. In order for them to get the certificate of completion from the House of Representatives, they had to read at least 10 books on their own. So this is a really nice completion. The next name I have is Emma Skelly. The next recipient I have is Nora Skelly. And last, but certainly not least, we have Julia Skelly. I love that your family completed this. I was even more excited to see that you're all siblings, so thank you so much. And then you guys let me know when you want to come down to Springfield. I'll let you guys push some buttons.
How cute was that? Did you see their shirts? It said future leaders. That was super adorable. All right, is there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move.
Is there a
And
second?
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is approval of minutes, which I do not believe we have any. And then public comment. I ask that all residents keep their comments to 3 minutes. I'm assuming that majority of you are here for 143rd Street. I hope that you guys all stick around to old business so you can hear all the stuff that we have to discuss. First up is Marlene Carbon.
Good evening, Mayor and the board and the community. I'm not here about 143rd, okay? I'm here to let you know that we are relatively new to the Homer Glen community. I'm the executive director of a therapeutic riding program. The name is Holistic Riding Equestrian Therapy, and we have gone from 1 rider to 100 families a week that need the therapeutic benefits of equine therapy. We work diligently all year to fundraise, and we reach our winter and we do not have heat, so we have to stop getting revenue. I'm here tonight to ask the community for support and for help. No, I'm not going to ask you for your money, don't take your checkbook out, but I am going to let you know that we have one fundraiser every year. It's on September 14th, and normally we have 200 tickets sold by now. Something happened with our communication this year on the phone system, and unbeknownst to us, Verizon fixed it today, but it's been out of whack for about 2 months. We are asking if anybody here would be willing to post a sign for us, put us and network on social media, and bring your friends and your family to the event. We throw the party, we do the cooking, we clean up, and it's an amazing, amazing evening. We have country western line dancing, we have live music, bonfire. It's held at Shady Oaks, which everybody knows. The Shady Oaks facility is just committed 24/7 to the variability community. So we're here to ask, can you help us network and can you help us fill this party with 200 of your closest friends, neighbors, and relatives? So just bring them on down. We do have some flyers, if it's okay, Mayor, to leave them here. And you can call us anytime, and we will definitely get you all organized to show up. Just bring your boots and your hat, okay? That's all you need is boots and a hat. And anybody that mentions this meeting this evening, if you buy 5 tickets, we're giving you 2 extra tickets because we're grateful that you're helping us. We currently have 17 tickets sold, and normally we have 150 by this time. Everything's been paid for, the party's gonna happen, so at least show up yourself because there's only 17 others coming right now, and it's gonna be hard to line dance with a small group like that. The change that the equine therapy does in the lives of children is not only measurable, but it's transforming lives. They come in scared, reserved, no eye contact, very low speaking voices, and they leave high-fiving each other and hugging their teammates. We're taking them all to Special Olympics in October, so if you want to sponsor a rider or a horse, we're more than willing to accommodate that. Right now, I'm just asking that you show up and party with us. Find out who we are, what we do, how we do it. There will be a demo at 3 o'clock at the farm. We're at 144th and Lamont Road. In the process of buying the 10 acres, which we lease, so we have a forever home. So, anybody have any questions? Please don't hesitate to call us. I'll leave some business cards and some flyers up here. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you do.
We get more out of this program than you can ever imagine. The kids give back to us.
That's great. Christy Nahar? Oh, Nasser.
Well, I guess it's going to be an animal theme here because I'm Christy Dostler of Chrisland Farm, and our 31 acres rescues animals. So with the widening of 143rd Street, that'll encroach on my piece of property where I have animals of special needs, blind horses, handicapped horses, horses that have been abused severely. I came to Homer Glen in 2002. My mother and I came here looking for property from Burr Ridge, and we had scouted a lot of different areas, and we were courted by the Chamber of Commerce to come here because I knew what we wanted to do. My mother started the Hinsdale Humane Society. I'd been in horses for a long period of time, well respected with rehabbing horses and showing, and students trained all the way up into the Junior Olympic level. So we bought our 31 acres thinking that we would be there forever and enjoying it with our community, which I've really learned to enjoy. And everybody's helped me out with my animals because it's been a tough year for me also. When we came in 2002, you guys had started the thing of community and nature and harmony. And they actually came and took pictures of my horses. So I think at that point, I was part of the community because they took one of my riders and one of my horses that I had rescued. And so it was kind of, I became part of the community in that respect. I'm really just, I'm trying to hold myself back right now to think that 143rd will be widened and that road will come right up to my house. And where the paddocks are that my special needs animals are right now will no longer exist. And they'll hear the cars and the things. They will not be able to tolerate it. I feel like I can't move forward knowing that this possibly might go forward with the 5 lanes, where the 5 lanes will come right next to my house and I'll have a sound wall. I feel like I'm trapped. I'm stuck. I can't go forward, I can't go back. We need to stop this right now so I can go ahead and develop my piece of property to take in more rescue animals, is what I love to do, and rehab them, and have students understand how important it is to take care of these animals and look forward to the future and help these animals to have them have a better future. So I ask the board to just please work with stopping the stupid road, because I can't go forward. And I'm telling you right now, if the road goes forward, I will not stay here. I will not keep my 31 acres, my 1,300 plus feet of frontage on 143rd Street. I will no longer be here. I won't do it. I won't do it to my animals.
Thank you. Kimberly Patty.
Honorable Mayor and esteemed members of the Board of Trustees, my name is Kimberly Patty. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I come before you not just as a resident, but a concerned member of our shared community, committed to seeing Homer Glen thrive as a place where all voices are heard and where every resident feels they belong. As you are aware, the 143rd Street Road Expansion Project between Lamont Road and Bell Road has been a topic of considerable discussion and concern. It is a project with far-reaching implications for individuals and families, particularly those living along this corridor. And while I recognize the complexities involved in such a significant undertaking, I must express ongoing disappointment with the lack of more relevant and timely updates on the progress of this project. This project does not only impact infrastructure, it impacts lives. The families who live along 143rd Street experience daily disruptions, and the uncertainty surrounding the project's timeline only amplifies their concerns. The sense of community we cherish here in Homer Glen can be strained when the residents feel left in the dark, uncertain about the future of their homes and neighborhoods. Equity demands that all members of our community, regardless of where they live, have access to clear, consistent information, and that their concerns are addressed with the urgency they deserve. This is not just about fairness, but about ensuring that every voice is heard and respected. I also want to speak to the value of freedom of speech. I believe it is essential for residents to be able to express their concerns without fear of being dismissed or overlooked when updates infrequent or lacking in detail. It can create a sense of complacency that silences voices rather than encourages dialogue. We must ensure that this project does not become a source of division, but instead an opportunity for collaboration and communication. I am begging people to come forward. Your voice matters. Come to the village and township meetings. Bring a family member to translate if needed, whatever it takes. Put a sign up on your property to communicate your message. Everyone, please go to the Parker/Hadley Preservation website. Scroll through for information to get email addresses to all elected officials. Send thousands of emails, make thousands of phone calls, whatever it takes to make your voices heard. In closing, I believe in the strength of our community and the leadership of this board. However, it is imperative that we do more than just acknowledge the importance of transparency and equity. We must act upon it. Words come from the lips and actions come from the heart. I strongly encourage more direct and proactive engagement from village leadership. This isn't just about providing updates, it's about actively seeking out and amplifying the voices of the people who are most impacted by this project. Their input is invaluable, and their concerns deserve to be front and center in every discussion and decision moving forward. Together, by prioritizing both leadership and community involvement, we can ensure that Homer Glen remains a place where every resident feels valued, heard, and supported. Thank you.
Mary Lou Salato.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Okay. Thank you all for the opportunity to present my thoughts. I am Mary Lou Soldato. We have been in the community for almost 7 years, living in Dawnwood on 143rd and Parker. We have not only had disruption, but most recently understand that Will County is approaching us for an easement to lease. These things have to stop. There are 64 homes with children in this neighborhood in a very condensed community. There is no safety and no amount of money that is going to make this happen for us at Dawnwood. So again, I speak for everyone that you've heard so far. I'm in complete agreement. Actions mean something. Words mean nothing. So we truly request that you, as a board who we have voted for, come forward with the best that we can ask you, which is keeping us safe, keeping our children safe, and continuing the process of stopping 143rd. You have 159th that goes all the way from Orland out. You have all the truck space you need. If you have the ability to maintain 143rd with a few ingresses and allow a certain tonnage of truck to come through only to where they're delivering, that is a reasonable expectation for us to vote for. Beyond that, making this 4 and 5 lanes means absolutely nothing that would be positive for our community from, I would say, Lamont Road all the way to Bell Road. I appreciate your time, and I'm also willing to do anything I can do to help push this forward, and I would be happy to give you any other information you need from us at Dawnwood. Thank you.
John Walters.
I didn't get here in time to sign up first, but I'd like to start with a prayer. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall be always on my mouth. My soul will glorify the Lord. Let the poor hear and be glad. Magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. Help us to act in love and kindness in our words and actions. May we try to understand each other's viewpoints and debate our differences with grace and dignity. And be humble at times where we fall short or make mistakes. May we come together focused on your will for us and for our village. In Jesus' name, amen. The Village of Homer Glen has a mission statement out here on the wall. It says, the Village of Homer Glen is committed to preserving, protecting, and enhancing our community and quality of life through responsible residential economic development while utilizing a sound fiscal management. We will strive to maintain open spaces, preserve our unique rural character, and safeguard our natural resources. The village encourages community involvement in order to maintain and cultivate a balance of family, agriculture, business, environment, cultural diversity for present and future generations. Okay, that's the mission statement on the wall. Whether it's Hadley Parker Road, 143rd Street, high-density housing, rezoning properties adjacent to residential to industrial, or the assault on Heritage Park by concrete and asphalt, we must stand together as a community to defend our village paradise against the gathering storm of developers who want to use our village for their own profit and forever changing our village into some place that we don't want to live in anymore. Thank you.
Heidi Pasella.
Hi, my name is Heidi Pasella. Some of you know me as Heidi Hadley. I'm here to discuss the 143rd Street expansion in Homer Glen. This is a moment. It's not a moment. This is a movement. We are in the brinks of writing history as the destroyers of our own homes, livelihoods, community, and our rural character. We are in a village that was created because residents wanted to change the trend of development from typical suburban sprawl to well-planned, sustainable development that protects the community's valuable natural resources. That's from your newsletters when you were created as a village. But here we stand voicing our concerns and worries regarding a detrimental Will County Road expansion, which has been in the works for over 20 years. Why hasn't it been halted yet? I'm gonna warn you right now that I may need an extra 3 minutes for this. And additionally, I'd like to thank whoever it was that put this 143rd Street agenda on the agenda. I'm not sure who did that, but thank you. I've looked through countless documents of all kinds, but what strikes me most is how deeply rooted the core value of nature and harmony was attached to the concept of creating the village of Homer Glen. The original board members and mayor meticulously wrote how important it was to preserve the unique agricultural charm. It's a gem. It was stated the farmland and agricultural settings should be protected, preserved, restored historically and culturally to safeguard the historic heritage and agricultural roots of the area. So how can this slate and the mayor who ran on integrity for Homer Glen not do one thing to stop this road expansion that will ultimately displace people, destroy the natural biomes, completely defy, disregard, overstep, and violate the entire purpose of creating the village? This slate should be held accountable, and here's why. Here's a timeline. I'm going to have Kim hold it up. I'm going to start back on February 16th when I was told by Jeff Ronaldson with the DOT that 143rd Street was offered to the mayor. I have the email right here. I made copies if anyone wants a copy of it. 2 weeks later, after finding out, I confirm it with him. I said, "Are you sure it was this mayor?" And he said, "Yes." I have that email if anybody wants it. So on February 28th, I came to a Homer Glen meeting on public comment, and I brought it up.
3
I
minutes.
said, hey, may I please request 3 minutes?
Is there a motion to grant Ms. Pasella an additional 3 minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead.
February 28th, I left a comment. I said, this is what Jeff told me. He's with the Will County DOT, and this is what you said. Quote, the mayor said, the road was not offered to us as a board, as a collective board. It was offered nonchalantly in a meeting that I had at the county. There was no real formal things about it. I don't want to talk about it, about what was said at those meetings because of possible lawsuits. Okay, she said they're getting an attorney. March 13th, village meeting. The mayor says Judy Ogala with the Will County Board is going to file a lawsuit because of the veto. All right. Again, the mayor said they're looking for an attorney for the village. On the 27th, 3 people speak on public record here regarding 143rd Street. The mayor says, quote, I am not going to give up on it. We don't want to jump into any old lawsuit. We're doing everything possible to stop this. Go to April 18th, the Will County suit was filed. May 22nd, village meeting again stated that things are being monitored, which is odd because the Senate Bill 3408 had been stalled out since March for 2 months. So when you say you've been monitoring the bill was not moving. If anyone wants a copy of that, I printed that out as well. June 12th, the mayor was not here, Rose Reinders was here. Rose said, we need to have a 143rd Street meeting for the residents to get their opinion, which again is odd because it's been going on for 20 years. Everybody knows everyone's opinion of this. They don't want it. July 24th, more residents come into a meeting, 10 people speak on public record. They asked for this to be put on the agenda. This was not put on the agenda. August 14th, another meeting. The mayor states that the lawsuit is not the township, and for some reason that seems to be the main concern, is that the lawsuit's not the township. We know it's not. Steve Balich is the township in Will County, and under the supervision of his attorneys, and it's in an article by Michelle Mullins, that it was best that the Will County Board filed something against the executive because of the veto. Now let's go to yesterday. I emailed Jeff Ronaldson. I said, hey Jeff, any update on 143rd Street? Do you want to know what Jeff told me? I want to make sure I read his exact words. He said that 143rd Street is going on 5 lanes full force.
3 minutes.
It's happening. And I have that email. 5 lanes. And I'm asking council, why didn't the village step in? If you keep saying that the township did not file something, why didn't the village get the residents together and file a class action lawsuit? You were adamant on saying the township wasn't part of it. So then why didn't the village do anything? These people are going to lose their homes. The entire entity of this area is going to be gone. Gone. Sound walls. 5 lanes. Do you even go down 143rd Street? Does anyone go down 143rd Street?
All right, Ms. Pasella, we had allowed you the additional 3 minutes and a little
So
time further.
when the discussion comes up, I'm politely asking, please do not bring up things that we do not need answers to. These people need the truth. If you cannot help them, you need to say that today. You need to say, you know what?
Thank you, Ms. Pasella.
I can't do anything.
Your time has expired. I
So they
appreciate your
all can
comments.
protect
We will
their
address
homes.
these. We will address all of this. And
I don't want to hear any rehashing. No rehashing, no word salad, no jib jab, Bolshevik, because it's been going on. I have all your meetings, quote for quote, You can listen to yourself on YouTube. You go from this to that, not being offered the road. You were offered the road, but then it wasn't private. But then another meeting you said it wasn't private with your staff. And then you said Jennifer Bertino-Tarrant wanted a win-win for the residents. How?
Okay, thank you for your comments. Cindy Zachary? Cindy Zachary?
Good evening, everyone. I haven't been here long. I've only been here about a year, so I don't know anybody. I apologize for that, but apparently nobody wants 143rd to be screwed up. I don't either. I've been here a year. I was in suburbia down in Cow Country, Bourbonnais, so this is a first for my husband and I. We moved in our house basically because of the view. Now, I'm in Pebble Creek, I'm on Rock Bluff Way. Guess what? The golf course is right across, but I have a nice fence, and I do have nice pine trees. That is my view. It's like I'm in a forest. I don't want to lose that. Now, I understand this has been going on for 20 years, but I'd like to know who the heck started it. I'm not familiar with what's been happening, but I can tell you, nobody wants it. And I think the village overcomes everyone else. This is a village. This isn't a city. This isn't Chicago. It's not Orland Park. If you want to do something to the road, maybe put in turning lane, a left-hand turn lane. That's not going to hurt. That could help. 5 lanes, we don't want it. We have enough noise. We have enough traffic. We have children. We don't want any of that. That's all we ask. Because if this does happen, I couldn't agree with you more. We're out of here. We didn't come here for this reason, for everything to be torn up. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray Akala?
Hello. I'm angry. I'm not angry at the board. I do appreciate the time you've given. I've seen several people here who are on the board at the village, at the Will County meetings. I know that there was a push to get things straightened out or changed. I haven't heard anything about the veto and where it's gone since then. And my main concern is that with this whole project, the residents haven't been given information. You know, that's the problem. We need to know. We haven't gotten any letters for easement. We haven't gotten any information in the mail about where this is going, what we need to do. And my wife's parents bought their property near Spring Creek Woods in 1963. They moved out here. And it's beautiful. We have large oak trees and walnut trees. All that stuff has tape on it now. So those trees are slated to go. But why has this thing been, everyone said no, 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 no. We go to a meeting, we are cheering because we think that it's done. And then we hear the next day or day after that that she repealed her vote or decision and there's a veto. So I don't know if maybe today you guys will clarify that a little more, but I am angry too. But like I said, there's several people in this room, in the audience and here that I have seen at those meetings fighting for our side, which is the residents. And we're all mad. Maybe some of our discretion is displaced, that maybe some of the things that are in writing are true, and maybe we need to be careful of how the information is handled. But the most disgusting thing to me is that the residents have not been given information on what's going on, and that's intentional. If anyone's been in the United States for any amount of time, the government purposely does not tell you what's going on. You have to seek and destroy. You have to do it yourself. Our government does not tell you. They don't want you to know, because knowledge is power. And if you know what's going on, then you can stand up and fight. If we're separate fingers, we can't win. But if we're a fist, we can win. So we need to keep up on this. We need to stay together. We need to keep in contact. The website that Ms. Hadley has is wonderful. So we need to really work on this together. And I do thank you guys for making an effort to to get involved, but I think now it's almost to the point where it's too late. So let's hear what you have to say, and hopefully we can get some better information from our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Hines.
Hi, my name is Kathy Hines, and I was here a few weeks ago and spoke to the board. We've been in Homer Glen a long time. I was on the Plan Commission for a while over the years. This community, I'm going to cry, is near and dear to my heart. I mean, I raise my kids here. My grandkids come out here all the time. We go to Trustees farm and look at the animals, and I'm just really disappointed. And I think there's more we can do. I think there is more, you know, if we just sit back and don't fight this, then we are going to have 5 lanes and we are going to destroy this community. We are going to be Orland Park. And I'm sure we all love Orland Park because we get to go shopping there. We don't have shopping here, okay? There's nobody that's going to come to this community, and by the way, nobody's going to buy our homes either because nobody wants to live in a concrete jungle. They don't. That's why people moved out here. We have been out here 40 years, and there's no reason why we can't do more to fight this. So I'm asking you as a board, first of all, I would like to know if we were offered the opportunity to purchase this property. Christine, you said you were going to post something. I went on the website before I came here. There is nothing on there. It says that there was something, there was supposed to be a meeting or a court case on the 25th, but that was a month ago. That's over a month ago. We don't have any updates on there to say what's going on, and I agree with several of the people that have already spoke. We need communication, but I'm also begging you, you have a chance to make history by saving Homer Glen, by making it a point to come out and say you are against this project. Put it on the website if you have to, and say we are supporting our community and we are not supporting the decision by Will County to make our community into a concrete jungle by adding another 5-lane highway in our community. So I'm praying and I'm begging that you guys will take there's a lot of us here. There's a lot more that want to be here. A lot of people feel like you know, it's the government, there's nothing we can do. Show them that that's different. Show them that their voices do matter and that you guys do care about them. I know you do, but I want you to show us you do. I want you to do something more than just say it. I want you to put something on the website that says you support the residents here, that you don't want this expansion. Please, look into your hearts. This is about the future of our community. Many, many people's homes and lives will be destroyed by this. Truly will. I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Vince Perfetto.
Good evening. I'd like to apologize to the mayor. Last time I spoke, I was the last one, and I don't speak in public a lot. I think I might have given you a headache and you had to leave. If that's the case, I apologize in advance, and hopefully tonight's a little bit better. So you guys, I'm on 143rd. I lived here about 22 years. Ditto on everything that was said. I feel the same way. I don't want to be redundant. Like I said, I know you guys don't like that, but you know, something that it strikes me is it's just the craziest thing. I grew up in Cook County, and a lot of the things I'm seeing is like Orland Park. I feel like Orland Park is dictating to this town. Now, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying I feel this way. Orland Park is a different atmosphere, a different, you know, they have a mall. It's a different environment. This is not that environment. So why is Orland Park working so hard, spending so much money, making so many deals with the Forest Reserve, making so many deals and spending the taxpayers' money, why is Orland Park trying so hard to get all those 4 lanes up to Wilcook Road from Southwest Highway? It's like it's all starting to come, it has nothing to do with Homer. I just feel like, whoa. And then all that traffic coming out of Orland, is there a reason for this? Why is he trying so hard? Why are they trying so hard to get it to go westbound? Is it to our advantage? Is it to the village's advantage? I'm just asking, I don't know, is it? Is there an advantage, financial advantage? Is there something? Am I missing something? So, you know, I know I only got 3 minutes. I'm going to try to go quick. Last time you were kind enough to give me an extra. I don't want to go there. What's west of 355? Plainfield. Let them come this way. I get they want to get to 355. I get the refinery is wanting to be given away by Lockport to get some tech in there. I get all of this, man. I know money talks. Believe me, I understand it. But why do we have to be the guinea pig? Why do we have to give up our properties? Why do we have to put sound barriers up? It's got to tell you something. When you have to put a sound barrier up, what is that doing? You got to put a sound barrier up through our harmony, our open space, just to get through to go to the potential tech facility distribution that they might build, or to get to 355. Why should we have to pay the people here in Homer Glen? So these are questions I have for all you. And
3 minutes. You can finish your statement if you'd like.
You know, I just want you guys to know, I appreciate all you guys too. We're frustrated. I know you sense it. And thank you for the extra time. I appreciate it. But we are frustrated. I've been to all the meetings, 20 years, you guys. I don't understand how a resolution could be vetoed several days after it's signed and the clerk signs it and it's done. And then all of a sudden, whoop, it was a mistake. I read the resolution. You guys, I'm about as simple-minded of a man in this room that you'll meet. And if I could understand this, what the heck is the executive? How do you you know, I don't get it, you guys. And I'm not knocking her. Maybe she slept on the couch. Maybe bad food. Maybe something happened. Whatever it may be, but thank you for your time. Thank you for all the hard work everybody does. But just know, we are compassionate about this. I do want more transparency from everybody. And I really would like to know where each and every member stands on 143rd, and I'd like to get more information. You guys, just so you know, nobody's ever sent me anything to my house on 143rd Street regarding this. I never got a packet. I never got any study results from Will County or Homer Glen, so I don't even know if you guys are doing studies. Are you guys doing any studies pertaining to 143rd, how it's gonna negatively affect all of us on 143rd and as a community? So thank you again. Like I said, yep. Thank you very much. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you.
And sorry about the headache last time. We'll talk
Thank
to
you. I wish it was just a headache. Diane Cernak?
Hello, my name is Diane Cernak. I have lived in Lockport Township / Homer Glen since 1960. And this is totally upsetting for me, beyond belief. I'm trying not to do this, sorry. The main thing is that the last one of the meetings, some of the trustees said, oh, you know, people have made comments about loss of trees. Well, they'll put the road up and they'll put trees up. Really? They're gonna be able to put 100, 200-year-old trees up? I don't think that's financially available to us or possible. One other trustee had mentioned, oh, the roads are dangerous in Homer Glen because people are trying to go fast and they're turning around, people driving crazy. Well, you know what? I'm sorry that happened anywhere, but just try driving in the loop in Chicago. I mean, you know, it's going to happen everywhere. Some goof is going to drive nuts. We can't help that. So therefore, trying to prove we need to build this road and widen it. All this road is a road leading to Orland Park. That's what they want. They want a straight through. Doesn't matter what they tear down, what it destroys people's neighborhoods or anything. Nothing. When Homer Glen first came here, when I was in Lockport Township, it changed to that. The promises sounded great. You know, things don't always happen. You can't do everything. But this is the worst thing on the planet. The worst for us. I mean, people that said, oh, you know, it's advancement, it's roads. Well, you know what? They never lived in Homer Glen. Some of the trustees never even drove through it. Some of them went down 143rd Street. You know, I call that the scenic route. You've got trees, you've got, you know, homes on the side. Everything looks wonderful. You're going to tear that down. There's going to be blacktop and trucks, and now they're saying the walls are going to go up. I mean, it might as well live in Russia. I mean, that's how we're being treated, with no comments about anything. No communication, no nothing. So, I mean, I just feel that this is already set in stone. That's why, you know, no one's really caring at all. I can see by the faces. Thank you.
Thank you. Tammy Hayes.
Good evening, I'm Tammy Hayes. I've actually lived in Homer Glen since 2002. Like lots of people, I've lived here a long time. I've raised my kids here. I chose to move here. I loved my community when I moved in. I loved the way that it looked. I'm not far off of 143rd. My property does not butt up to 143rd, but I'm just a couple blocks off. Now, I hear a lot of people compare what they're going to do here for 143rd to 159th Street. And I want to tell you, 159th Street is very different than 143rd. 159th has been a commercial corridor for many years. And all newer residential that has been put in there in the past 20 years has come designed with the ingresses and egresses of a multi-lane road. 143rd Street is not commercial. It is mostly residential, and therefore its frontages are very different, with most of the ingresses and the egresses being individual driveways without traffic control of any kind. The widening of 143rd when 159th already exists seems like a duplication of efforts, number one, and for those of us who live near it, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty, it's not going to sound good, we're not going to like it. Now, I would wonder if 143rd ran its corridor in front of Evelyn's Gate, would we be in the same situation that we're in now? If it went down Golden Oak, would we be in the same situation that we are in now? People who make decisions for a community need to make decisions for the entire community. Reed School is right there. My kids went to Reed School. It can sometimes be a raceway, 143rd. Some things could be done. Maybe we could lower the speed limit. Maybe a third lane in the center for turning, I could understand that. But you can't take away everybody's land, and you can't end up 3 feet from a school that houses second and third graders, right? I think that's what's still over there. So I'm just gonna leave you with a small quote. Let us not love our community with speeches and words. Let us love it with actions and truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to reports and communications. I want everyone to stay because we're going to talk about it. I appreciate everyone's comments. So just everyone hang tight. This agenda is going to be short and quick. Reports and communications from President and other officers. Village Manager Joe Baber.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I'd like to thank all that attended the food truck event last Friday here at Heritage Park. Our staff did a fantastic job in organizing this event with a great turnout where vendors actually ran out of their products they were selling. Also, I want to mention that bottled water will be available for distribution from the Village Hall tomorrow between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. for the residents that are under the boil order. For those residents who are not able to get to Village Hall, please call 708-301-0632 to make other types of arrangements. With that, I'd like to introduce Jim Chilson with the Citizens Utility Board, who will provide information on what the Citizens Utility Board is doing in regards to the proposed Illinois American rate increase.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. I just want to thank Honorable Mayor and trustees for inviting CUB to speak tonight. I was asked by the village manager to give a quick rundown of the Illinois American Water case. I just heard about the boil order. Just want to say I'm so sorry for anybody who's dealing with that, and that just increases our resolve to challenge Illinois American Water's rate hike request. So to be quick here, Illinois American Water in January, it's the largest investor-owned water and wastewater utility in Illinois. They serve about 1.3 million customers, and they announced that they're seeking a $152 million rate hike. That's a 39.5% increase. That would be, on average, an increase of up to about $30 a month. That is the high. Aqua Illinois is also asking for a similar rate hike. That is the highest rate hike that CUB, that I have ever seen in my time at CUB in terms of just individual customers. So CUB is under legal obligation to intervene in these cases, and we have intervened, and we filed testimony not too long ago. We are working on this case with the Village of Bolingbrook and also an organization called the Illinois Industrial Water Customers, which are large commercial customers. So we're working with the Village of Bolingbrook and this other group, and we filed testimony, and we uncovered about close to $50 million in overcharges in the proposed rate hike. The biggest part of that was return on equity. So this is a very profitable company. The company already has an excessive profit rate for its shareholders of about 9.78%, and it wants to increase it to 10.75%. So that chunk of it would reduce the rate hike by about $27 million. Also, CUB argued that customers shouldn't have to cover bonuses to executives for reaching financial goals that only benefit shareholders. So that recommendation amounted to about $5.8 million. The company is doing something highly unusual. It wants to have a two-step rate hike. So it wants to have hit customers with a rate hike in January of 2025, and then hit them with another rate hike in January of 2026. We recommended wiping out that second rate hike completely, and that's about $16 million. So we are still hoping to add to those numbers of overcharges. There are other parties in the case. The staff of the Illinois Commerce Commission has requested about $49 million in reductions. The AG's office about $41 million, and we'll see what happens. What's next? We're right now in the briefing phase of the case. So over the next few weeks in September, we will file initial briefs in the case and reply briefs in the case. There is a proposed order scheduled for October 16th, and what that is there is a judge assigned to the case from the Illinois Commerce Commission. That judge is going to make a proposal and recommend to the full Illinois Commerce Commission that here's how I think you should rule, and that's coming October 16th. A deadline for ICC action is December 17th, so we're hoping that we can cut this rate hike request as much as possible. The only other thing I will say is that I attended several ICC public forums on water rate hikes, both Aqua and Illinois American. I saw some people are in the room today. We're at the Bolingbrook Forum, which had an overflow crowd, and I was saddened by how stressed out people are about their bills. The only good thing that I saw that night. It was really sad to see how stressed out people were, but the nice thing was that people weren't just worried about their own bills, but worried about their neighbors' bills, and that was really a good showing of strong community. So the only thing I would ask is that we're a consumer watchdog group in Illinois. My name is Jim Chilson, I'm executive director. I guess I should have said that right at the beginning. But you can go to cubactioncenter.com, and you can click on a link there, and you can either sign a petition that Cub produced and that we're going to send to the ICC, or you can, even better, you can file a public comment with the Illinois Commerce Commission in the case, saying that you're against this rate hike. So you can go to cubactioncenter.com and do that. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Do you have anything else, Joe? Did you want to report on the boil alert or anything?
Just also, there's currently a boil order here in Homer Glen with affecting 856 households. That's still in effect. I would say monitor, keep on our social media sites with any updates that may happen within the next few days.
Thank you. All right, trustees. Trustee McNaughton.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I wanted to say thank you for the comments, passion, and quite honestly, the emotion around 143rd Street. We do hear you on this, and I understand, and I believe this is a serious issue. I too am concerned, and just know that I stand with you. As we reflect on significant moments in our nation's history, another noteworthy event that took place on August 28th is the signing of the Voting Rights Act amendments of 1975. This legislation was an extension of the landmark voting rights of 1965, which aimed to eliminate racial discrimination in voting. The amendments of the 1975 specifically addressed the rights for legal citizens such as minorities, ensuring that citizens who did not speak English as their first language would not be disenfranchised. These amendments ensured that naturalized legal citizens who did not speak English as their first language, including Hispanic, Native American, Asian American, and Alaskan Native communities, could fully participate in the democratic process by requiring bilingual ballots and election materials in areas with significant language minority populations. This moment in history reminds us that the fight for equality and representation is ongoing. Just as the 1965 Act tackled racial discrimination in voting, the 1975 amendments addressed the need for broader inclusion. As we approach our election, this serves as a powerful reminder to consider how we can ensure that everyone in our community has a voice and that our leadership reflects the needs of the people. Just as the original Voting Rights Act of 1965 sought to rectify the injustices of Democrats in the Jim Crow era, the 1975 amendments acknowledged that discrimination can take many forms and that our democracy must be vigilant in ensuring equal access for all legal citizens. Let's use this opportunity to strengthen our own democratic process, encourage broader participation, and welcome fresh perspectives that can unite and propel our community forwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McNaughton. Trustee Mason?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I would like to echo the sentiments of Trustee McNaughton on 143rd. We hear you loud and clear. I thank you all, the residents that came tonight and spoke on this topic. There was a young lady that spoke about being here for 40 years, and she said there's more that we can do, and I totally agree. I've always been for supporting the community. I support our country. I support the city. I support everything that revolves around me, my children, my residents, my neighbors, my friends. Your voices do matter. They matter more than you know. I'm also a little disconcerted that some trustees weren't here tonight because I feel that maybe this was to paint a certain perception, but we work together. We work as a unit or we don't work at all. And with that being said, I'm going to go into more things that happened today in history. On August 28th, 1963, Martin Luther King gave his famous speech, "I have a dream." He spoke on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. The speech was delivered amid the March on Washington, a demonstration that was an end to racial discrimination and segregation, as well as equal opportunity for African Americans. With Abraham Lincoln's towering likeness sitting in the background, King gave this riveting speech to the demonstrators, and just as he finished his prepared text came to an end, he jumped into an improvised speech. He proclaimed to the crowd, go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia, Louisiana, go back to the slums and the ghettos of the northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. He then continued to his most famous part of the speech. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of the creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day the Red Hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at a table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering in the heat of injustice, sweltering in the heat of oppression, will transform into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by their color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Those words mean so much to me. Also, on August 28th in 1968, protesters and police clashed in the streets of Chicago. As protesters of the Democratic National Convention turned violent, the convention had convened in Chicago, and one of the main issues of the election was the Vietnam War. The party was torn apart over the official stance and what it should be. Many advocated for the complete withdrawal from the conflict, while others wanted to continue to fight against communism. The fight started with a debate and then it intensified greatly, and eventually things got physical. Once it was announced that Hubert Humphrey, a pro-war anti-communist, was to be the party's nominee. Punches were thrown on the Democratic Convention floor, and once anti-war protesters on the streets heard the news, violence continued. The Chicago police were instructed by the mayor to break up the crowds, and they did just that. Much of this was witnessed by all of Americans nationwide on television, and it was clear to the country that we had some very serious divisions. President Lincoln was the first Republican president in the U.S. history. He also had a dream to unite the country. Thus, he wrote his famous speech, the Emancipation Proclamation speech. Martin Luther knew this, and that is why he chose the location for his famous speech in an effort to unite us once again. Now, to borrow that famous phrase, I have a dream, which I do. We have an election coming up, both locally and nationally, and it is time that we unite and heal this country and put America first. There is too much division in the U.S., even right here on the local level, in the village and our township. It might be time to elect newer, younger, fresher faces, ideas, red-blooded Homer Glen residents to break up the status quo. Let's burst that bubble. Replace the same names you always hear at the township, the village, the next voting cycle. We have the opportunity to vote for uniting versus dividing. Vote on the content of their character. It is not always what the person running for is saying, but what they do. Actions mean more than words. And I thank everybody for being here tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Mason. Trustee Stein. Trustee Stylen.
Thank you. Speaking for the Community Development Committee, I want to say thank you to the staff and Parks and Events and Public Works for the nice Touch-a-Truck event and Food Truck Friday last week. It was amazing how many people came out. It was definitely evident that we need more of those types of events. This Saturday, our village is having our first parade that we are doing, as well as a family fun day. The parade starts at 10 o'clock. I want to encourage everybody to come early so that you can get a place to park. There are 3 parking lots right here in the area. So after that, 151st Street will be closed at 9:45, so you won't be able to get into those parking areas. Also, I want to put a plug in for Scarecrows. We'll be coming back to Heritage Park. That information is on the events page on the website, so please plan on making a scarecrow and putting it on display in the park. Also, we have quite a few events coming up this fall. The village, we can always use volunteers. And one thing about volunteers, it's a great way to support our community, great way to meet other people in the community, and if you could let the events department know if you're willing to volunteer for something, please do so. The Community Development Committee, what we do is, this committee is a fairly new committee. It was started last July of 2023, and we're really just getting off the ground. My goals for this is to improve communications within the community, as well as in events, and develop community pride and cohesiveness. And events is one of the ways that we do that. Another way that we do that is through communications. We have a newsletter that is coming out mid-September. I have seen the article for 143rd Street. And it's going to be placed on our website. It might even be on there. I was just looking on the phone and I couldn't find it. So we do understand the need for updating the community on that. Also, we have an app called Civic Ready. And some people may have already signed up for that. I would encourage you to do that. And when we have news go out, it goes out on Civic Ready, it goes out on people who are listed with Constant Contact, it goes out to our Facebook page, and it gets posted on our website. So we really do look for ways that we can improve communications within the community. We also just started, we have an events person that is now, has great video talents, and she's out in the community that has done some video recording. And she was just out at the Stallions Homecoming on Saturday. I don't know if that just got posted, I think, to Facebook today. So I hope you can look at that, and if you have an organization in the community that is doing something special, please reach out, and if time permits and the stars line up, we'll have somebody out there to do that. So I have comments I could add to 143rd Street, but I'm going to save that for the discussion. Again, if my face looks stoic, if you don't think I'm listening. Just want you to know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stylen. Village Clerk? Village Attorney?
Well, I had a report on the ICC case, but the Executive Director of CUB did an excellent job kind of getting up to speed on that. I will let everyone here know that the village did file a petition to intervene, so we've already, on behalf of all village residents, filed an objection to the ICC rate hike. We're involved in that case. As he mentioned, we're getting close to the finish line. We're briefing the cases right now and hope to have a ruling from the administrative law judge within the next 45 to 60 days. Other than that, 143rd Street, I'll wait. If you want me to report on that, I will when we get to that item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public safety officials? All right, I'm going to save mine as well to old business so we can move this meeting along. Consent agenda. Number 1, consider for approval the accounts payable for the period of August 16th, 2024 through August 29th, 2024 in the amount of $556,205.93. Consider for the approval the treasurer's report of cash and investments for the period ending May 31st, 2004 in the amount of $17,988.20. And 3, consider for approval the treasurer's report of cash and investments for the period ending June 30th, 2024 in the amount of $47,822,027.42. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Mason?
I'll second.
Trustee McNaughton? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen? Aye. Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Motion carries. Legislation and action items. Number 1, consider for approval an ordinance amending 83-68 of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen, increasing the number of Class D liquor license issued within the Village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Mason?
I'll second.
Trustee McNaughton? Trustee Mason, do you have any discussion?
No, it looks like we're increasing it by 1. I know we had this on the panel once before, but we're missing some people tonight. But I don't see an issue with it. And it's been okayed by yourself, so you are the liquor commissioner.
Thank you. Trustee McNaughton?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Stylen?
No comments.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 2, consider for approval an ordinance amending 83-68 of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen, increasing the number of Class A liquor license issued within the Village of Homer Glen. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion as well.
Trustee Mason?
I'll second.
Trustee Stylen? Is there any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 3, consider for the approval granting a variance to reduce the lot size from required 43,460 square feet to 24,636 square feet for certain real property located in the R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District at 12412 West Mackinac Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, HG 2415-V. Is there a motion?
I'll also make that motion.
Trustee Mason?
I'll second.
Trustee Stylen, any discussion?
Yes, I looked this over pretty thoroughly. All the lots are about the same size here. I don't see an issue with it whatsoever. I don't see why not.
Any more discussion?
No, outside of the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the approval of the variance.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee McNaughton.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Stylen.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 4, consider for approval an ordinance granting a parking adjustment for reduction of 41 required parking spaces from 134 spaces to 93 attributable to shared parking lot with the LFI Plaza for certain real property located in C3 General Business Zoning District 14059 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, HG 2416P. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Trustee
I'll
Stein?
second.
Trustee Mason, any discussion?
Yes, I do. After we had the decision that we had to make with the Booth and Mudowski property, that was a property that was here before the village had code, and it was done by the Will County. And it was a very difficult decision to make because it was non-conforming, and we couldn't make it conforming. And this is kind of the same way, in my opinion. This is a non-conforming piece of property that currently does not have the parking that it's supposed to have, according to our code. Has it caused problems? I really am not hearing that it's causing problems. The photos in the packet were taken on a Saturday. I would have preferred that they were taken on a Friday at like 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, because I did a matrix, and that is the time that that parking lot is the busiest. We don't really control the business hours, other than we have business hours in the village, but businesses can operate at any time during those hours. And my concern is that what if one business decides to change their operation, increase at different hours, increase their business, would it cause a problem? So what I'd like to see is there is a section of that parking lot that was used, I think, for an ATM or some kind of banking thing. And 7 additional parking spaces could probably be added to that parking spot. I don't know if we can put that condition on it today or if this needs to be tabled. And another thing is, I do know that the restaurant that is in that parking lot tells its staff to park in the Home Depot lot to free up more parking so that the customers can have more parking. And even though we look at parking that's 300 feet away from the plaza, I think that I would like to see permission from one of those owners that allow for some kind of overflow parking. So I don't know if we can do that today, or is this something that needs to be tabled?
Thank you, Trustee Stylen. Trustee Mason, do you have any comments?
I concur with Trustee Stylen. I think that there should have been a matrix in here. I mean, all the photos that we did receive were all done on a Saturday. I would like to see something similar to that, and if it was not in this packet. I think it's going to inconvenience their neighbors. I know that there is a lot of parking at Home Depot right behind there, and that's great. But again, I would like to see something that falls within our ordinance, or we table it until we have all of the trustees here. And I know Trustee Reinders can't be here due to family difficulties, but at this time, I would like to see more in the packet for this, or table it as well.
Trustee McNaughton.
Yeah, when I look at the area, there were an old ATM, it looks like, a large concrete berm in the parking lot, which I measured out to be approximately 7 additional parking spaces that could be utilized if the landlord removed that concrete block that's currently there. So I'd like to table discussion until we have further information.
Taylor, is that okay with you to come back with that additional information?
Yeah, it's up to you guys. I just want some clarification. So we want to see different days of the weeks, photos like they've already submitted. Sue wants Fridays, same time, 3 different times on Fridays.
Yes, because it's the busiest time for that parking lot is probably between 4 and 8.
Okay.
So it's, well, Saturday's not that bad because 2 businesses, or at least one, is closed on Saturday, I think, and the bakery's early hours are earlier, so there's additional parking there. So it's Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys who's going to make the motion to table?
I'm going to make the motion to table.
Trustee Mason.
I'll second.
Trustee McNaughton. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll for the table?
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Do I need to remove my motion?
What's that?
Okay. All right.
Superseding.
Number 5, consider for approval co-hosting a Veterans Day event November 3rd, 2024 at Konos Corn Maze.
I'll make the motion.
I will second.
Trustee McNaughton. Any discussion?
No, ma'am. I think it's a good thing.
I'm all for it. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm
Just
in
for
agreement.
clarification, Konos has been hosting this event for, this is going to be the 8th year, I believe, in a row. All proceeds that are raised at this event does come back to the village for whatever use they so choose. We provided the banners that are up in the cul-de-sac right now for if you're part of the American Legion, as they're the ones that raise the money. Madam
Throughout
Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mason?
Who?
Mason.
I couldn't. I thought you said Mick Mason. I'll go with aye.
Trustee Stylen? Aye. Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to old business, discussion regarding 143rd Street. So I'm going to jump in first before the attorney takes over just for a few things. Someone had asked who put it on the agenda. It was Trustee Consolino. Unfortunately, she's not here today. I was assuming she would have some sort of agenda to go over this matter. So I did take notes on that, what everybody said, so I'm hoping to get to everybody. If I missed something, I apologize. I'm not forgetting you on purpose. I would like this discussion more so to flow evenly with the trustees because it is such a sensitive matter. I ask that everyone be respectful to the board as we were to you during your comments. I do not mind if there's a hand raised every now and then that has an additional question or something that we did not address. We're going to try to do the best we can to keep this as a calm discussion. Attorney, would you mind giving an update of a couple of things that you just mentioned to me along as well as the status?
Sure. So there's been a lot of discussion about what monitoring means with regards to a lawsuit that is currently pending, and there's also a lot of confusion about that lawsuit. So the county commissioners filed a lawsuit against the county executive regarding an action taken to, as someone pointed out earlier, veto something that had previously been signed as passed. Immediately after we were made aware of that action, the signed veto, we contacted the state attorney's office, and we had lengthy discussions with Mr. Piles and Mr. Gray from the state attorney's office. And one of the difficulties that we were discussing at the time, and we still have concerns about now, is for that type of action that's currently pending, does the Village of Homer Glen have what the law calls standing to get involved in the case? Not anyone can jump into any case. There was a lot of confusion about whether the township board had standing as well. And in fact, several residents have filed FOIAs that then came to us. We looked at them, and we could see from the billing records of the township's attorneys that they shared the same concerns we had about standing. There was a lot of billable hours in those invoices for legal research on the issue of standing. We have been providing updates at the village board meetings as to the status of the underlying case, and I want to give a little bit of information about that because there's a lot of confusion about the pending case as well. So as I mentioned, the county commissioners have filed the lawsuit. If the lawsuit is successful, then the veto would be reversed. So it doesn't mean that the roadway project couldn't still happen, but it means there's an impediment to any further action. There have to be further steps taken. So anyone that would want to take legal action against anybody to prevent this lawsuit would be wise to wait to see what happens with that case, because if it goes one way, then we have a concern. If it goes the other way, this whole issue may be moot. We look every week or so, because as you know, court doesn't happen every day on cases. It's in front of Judge Brian Barrett, whom we know very well, and it was last before the court on July 25th. At that time, the plaintiff, which are the county commissioners, filed a motion for extension of time and also filed a motion to be allowed to file an amended complaint in this case. They already had it completed, so when the judge granted their motion, they immediately then filed, we call it instanter or instantly, they filed the amended complaint. The state's attorney on behalf of the executive accepted service of that complaint, so it didn't have to be served by the sheriff all over again. And then Judge Barrett gave the executive time to answer or otherwise plead. And what that means is you could file an answer to the lawsuit, or if you feel there's a defect in the lawsuit, you can file motions to dismiss, etc. And in fact, and that's why when Ms. Pasella made the comment about someone told her that the 5 lanes is back on, the mayor and I looked at each other like we had not heard that at all. So I went in and actually pulled up on my phone, because it was filed since the last time I looked, the actual current pleadings. So when the executive was granted time to answer or otherwise plead, on her behalf, the state's attorney filed another motion to dismiss, which is either the second or third motion to dismiss. They had, on July 25th, withdrawn their other motions to dismiss. This is a new one. And what I think the gentleman that answered Ms. Pacella's email might have been talking about is one of the grounds for the motion to dismiss that the state's attorney filed was, since this lawsuit was originally filed, which was back on April 18th, the county board passed a motion or a resolution to adopt their transportation plan. The adopted transportation plan that was passed by all but 3 of the plaintiffs in this case contained the original plans for the 143rd Street widening. And I just found that tonight when I looked, because it's a new document.
Excuse me.
Right, but what I'm saying is that motion has not been ruled upon. Judge Barrett set a hearing for that motion to dismiss for September 12th. That's the next court date. So, and when we say we've been monitoring, right now we probably don't have standing to do anything else at this time. If the case is not successful and the veto stands, then we would have to explore other avenues, other lawsuits that we might be able to file. But like I said, even if the lawsuit is successful, it might make the widening moot, or the county may come up with other creative ideas on how they would finance the widening of the street. So that's the current status of the lawsuit. And Madam Mayor, I see a gentleman with his hand raised if you want to entertain a question. Okay.
We'll let people explain first,
Right.
and then we'll go back to
So that's the
questions.
current status of the lawsuit as I'm looking at it just moments ago.
I see you, Dominic. We're gonna let the board talk a little bit, and then we'll get back to you. You can put your hand down. I'm gonna write your name down so I remember to call you, okay? Okay, so a lot of questions were asked. How did we get here? Why in 20 years hasn't anything been done? Just so everybody knows, I've only been the mayor since April of 2023. One of my first matters that I brought to this village board and the village staff was to look into the expansion of 143rd Street. A woman had mentioned that 159th Street and 143rd Street, they are absolutely 2 different matters. 159th Street is a commercial corridor. Back in the day, when this plan in 2003 or 2002 started, and now it's a 2009 plan, but they did their homework starting in 2003. So when this all came about, 143rd Street was not just planned to be residential. It wasn't planned to be commercial, but the vision of the future was to make that some areas into commercial. With that being said, whoever said that, I agree with you 100%. There were some comments made of that this board doesn't care and this board isn't doing anything. I just want to enlighten the residents, and I see a lot of familiar faces. I see a lot of people that were at the same board meetings as me. So for the residents that may be new to this matter or who have not attended a board meeting or who have not went to the county meetings, welcome. And I can understand your frustration since you haven't been up to date on this. But for those who have sat next to me at these board meetings and have watched me go back and forth with Mayor Pekow of Orland Park or the county executive, the trustees have attended Will County board meetings. We've read thousands of pages of documents. And when I say thousands, I don't mean just the first plan, the second plan, the third plan, every single plan that was involved. In fact, by doing this research and reading these plans, we found a lot of hiccups in these plans. The original reason they claimed we needed to expand 143rd Street was because our population by 2030 was supposed to be up to 43,000 residents. That means in 7 years or 6 years, we are supposed to double in size. It's not going to happen. And I continuously say that every time we went to a board meeting and talked about it. We've met with the county several times. We've called news reporters. We've had the news channels out here on 143rd Street. We've been updating website, Facebooks. I've given personal updates. I even went and did one conversation on the, what is it called, when you sit and talk in front of a camera and give it an update, like a one-on-one update. We've spent hours pleading our case to different board members of the county, getting them to vote, because for years they were all just voting along, yes, 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 to this expansion. Homer Glen was actually not even involved or asked to be involved in any of these studies until 2013 and 2014. November of 2013, I believe January of 2014, which in those two meetings combined, there was over 200 residents that had complaints and concerns about these roads. We've read every single complaint on that and brought it to the county as well. So with that being said, in the 2009 report, a person from Orland Park actually represented the village of Homer Glen. Somebody from Orland Park said, we need to have a minor artery in Homer Glen to make this flow happen. We need to expand 143rd. We need to do 159th. Someone else spoke on our behalf. Again, I wasn't around back then, and nobody on this board was either. We did researches of all emails that were shared from 2001, as far back as we can go, of any communication between any previous mayor or any resident or any staff member regarding 143rd Street. And everything we found was against this expansion. I personally have been at the county board meetings. I have been at the transportation meetings. I have never not answered a phone call. There was one, Miss Patty, where I did miss your call and I did end up getting back to you. There was a miscommunication with us, but I have never not returned a phone call. I have never ignored an email. I've always been very vocal, very open at every board meeting we have. We've had 23 executive session meetings with this board. We have talked about 143rd Street in almost every single one in our plan. And I don't mean to correct something the attorney said, because I'm not really correcting you, but you said if this veto doesn't go through, we have to explore. I don't want you to think that we haven't already. So the problem with lawsuits, as many of you may know, you don't, and I've said this before, you don't want to give your cards to the person you're going against, because then they know what you're fighting for. We have to find standing. We have found some routes of standing, which everybody will be included in. There's not a single board member, and yes, it's obvious, me and some board members do not get along, but I will defend them even though they're not here and say they are with you. We have always been with you. My parents are standing in the back of their room and they can testify for how many hours of sleep I have lost along over 143rd. My dad's best friend's driveway is going to be consumed by this expansion. So when some resident came up and said, oh, I bet you if it was on Golden Oak, yeah, I live in Old Oak, and I know she was referring to me or the school district. My son goes to Goodings Grove, and he has special needs. He's in the first classroom closest to the expansion. So I don't want to hear, I bet if it was on Evelyn's Gate or Goodings Grove, that it would change. No, it does matter. Though I'm affected in 3 ways too. My parents live right over there too. So this has nothing to do with, it's not in my backyard, then I'm not going to care about it. I do care. I care greatly about this. Someone mentioned that the government doesn't tell you things on purpose. I believe in big government, they don't, and he's 100% right. But in this matter with 143rd Street, we can't divulge every single matter or every little thing that we have because we did that once before. We did tell somebody that we were going for Hadley Road, that we were going to take Hadley Road. And this is where everyone keeps saying the township and the village can't work together, is because word got out that we were going to take this Hadley Road, and all of a sudden, things went crazy. It was a fight between the township and the village on who was going to take this road, and we didn't want that again with 143rd Street. To answer some questions with the scroll, I thank you. I actually thank you for providing that timeline, because everything that you said, not exactly word for word, but the timeline is correct. Yeah, I did meet with the county executives and everyone, yes, it was mentioned, I believe Janie was there, Joe Baber, you were there, I believe Rose Reinders was there, Brett Westcott was there, he's not here tonight. And they did nonchalantly, and I'll explain to you what I mean by nonchalantly. Mayor, why don't you guys just take this road? That's how it was addressed to me. My response was, I don't even get to vote, guys. I don't even get a say in if we get to take this road unless it's 3 against 3. That's the only time I get to vote on any matter, okay? When it was brought to my attention, oh, Mayor, why don't you just take this road? My response was, how much, where are we at with it, what studies have been done, and what's it gonna cost us? Right away, our staff went to work to look at a 3rd lane, the turn option. And I got beat up for calling it something that it's not called, but it's a middle lane that can turn in each direction. Then the question came, do we want culverts? Do we want sewers? Do we want curbs? All these matters came about. After we left there, I made several phone calls, had conversations with Jennifer Bettino-Tarrant about this. But in the meanwhile, we were speaking to different board members. I had called both Republicans and Democrats to get them to vote with us. And remember those thousands of pages of documents that I said I went through? I had to pull out sheets and say, in the 2019 report, I think it was page 86, there's a section in there that says, will this be a truck route? Will it hold 80,000 pounds for a truck? The answer was yes. Not a single board member for the county ever seen that report. Never. I actually provided it to them, and that made 3 board members flip their vote from expanding to not expanding. Okay, so we have done a lot of work. We care. From Chrisland's farm, you know I've been out to your farm. You know I was out there with the news trying to help you and answer all your phone calls. You visited me at different locations to talk about it. I mean, I am in this just as deep as you guys. We're not leaving you stranded. I promise you that. So to bring it back to the veto process, yes, Jennifer Bettino-Tarrant did veto, which I don't agree with the veto. I don't. I believe that her veto should not stick. I back the county board for filing this lawsuit. We're 100% behind her. If they didn't do it, we were gonna do it. They just took the initiative to do it because it's them. She did them wrong. It's not our road. We don't have any standing on the veto, okay? They do. We came up with a second plan, which I know I had discussed some of the matters with some of the residents here on what our next course of action would be. And I know I was asked not to mention things, but we also had to get through the blurred vision, because I think a lot of miscommunication is what is causing this anger. We are 100% with you. But when it came down to the township filing the lawsuit, not filing the lawsuit, who's paying for it, not paying for it, we wanted to work with the township on this matter. We did. But when they're giving misinformation to the residents and saying that they did file a lawsuit, it's kind of hard to work with someone who's claiming they already filed one when we want to work with them. We share the same residents. Everybody that's the village resident is a township resident. So why would we want to file 3 lawsuits on the same veto process? We all want to take a different section and attack this from different angles. We are following the bill that's in Springfield right now. There's no movement on it. And don't think for a second I'm not talking to our congressmen or our state reps. We're talking to everybody. We sent letters out. Joe, how many letters did we send out? Over 20 letters, and we got responses. We're moving. But the problem comes down to is, and I don't like that we can't give you all the information, but once we tell one person and that word gets out, we're done. We're doing this for you. I'll sit up here and listen to you guys yell at me. That's okay. But I'm not going to risk this suit just because I want to go, you guys, it's not me, or let me tell you everything that we're doing. No, I would rather you guys yell at me, take the hits, and then come out on the end saying we did it for this reason. So we're actually doing this for you. We're sitting up here getting beat up for you. A couple other things I wanted to address was, someone mentioned, why is Orland Park dictating what Homer Glen does? I agree. The towns around us try to dictate what we do. Mayor of Orland Park and I have gone rounds, and he actually had other mayors call me nonstop to beg me to not stand up and fight for you guys. I've had unions call me and say the same thing. I'm not backing down from them. Let's see. After the road was nonchalantly asked if why don't you guys just take this road? We spoke with Jennifer Patino-Tarrant. She was going to get us the additional study that she had for just the turn lane only. Brett Westcott reached out to them, and they said they were getting it together. They didn't have it at that time, but they were getting all the facts and the information. There was some confusion. If we did the turn lane, did we want culverts or did we want sewers and curbs? Well, when you kind of want to negotiate with someone, you just can't take all or nothing. And from what we understand, if the culverts were to go in, they would just be taking just as much as your property as if they did a 5-lane, okay? So we thought, as the village board has discussed, that it would be in the best interest for the residents to do curbs and sewers. Now, here we go again. We're arguing what we want in our village that's not our road, but we would like to take our road. But we also want the county to pay for some things, because one of the first questions I asked in that meeting was, has the county ever paid for any improvements in the village of Homer Glen for any road? The answer was no. I said, well, it's about time that you fix one of our roads, and we can take it at that point, or we don't have to because now it's only the 3rd lane. Well, at that point, when we were discussing options, the lawsuit by the county board was filed. We were no longer allowed to talk to the county board. We lost all communications, all negotiations. Any future meeting that we had was canceled. They would not speak to us. They would not give us any information, which handcuffed us. We were making waves. We were getting in there. We were going to get a study. We were going, and someone else asked where we are with our studies. I believe Brett Westcott was working on one. It was working on a couple of different things. What it would cost if we took the road and just resurfaced it and repaved it and took care of it the way it is, or if we did it with curbs and sewers. We were not going to look into the swales study, because we want you guys, your number one concern was we didn't want our property taken. So that was the best option. I'm sorry, my mouth's getting dry from talking so much. From that point on, thank you, from that point us having those discussions, another comment that was a private conversation between Jennifer Bettino Tarrant and I said, hey, and this was before the lawsuit came out, by the way. Hey, where are we at? Let's set up our meeting. We were supposed to meet on Tuesday. Her response was, well, you know, the comments have been made. If you guys want to really take this road, would you give us the $6 million back that we're losing? Again, I don't have that jurisdiction to just go throw $6 million out on a road that needs repair, okay? I don't vote unless the board is a tie. And that's something that we would discuss under executive session because it's land acquisition. So we would discuss that amongst ourselves, okay? With that being said, before I can even get to this board, the lawsuit was placed. Got a phone call maybe a few days later and said, I'm sorry, all conversations are off. I can't discuss it with you. So now, again, when people say, why can't the township and the village get along? It's because we have lanes. I stay in my lane. I don't veer off into someone else's lane and create problems for them. If people would just let me do my job and stop trying to overshadow me or tell me how to do this job, and if they would just let me fight for you, I'm a fighter. I'm not gonna cave. I've never done it before. I'm not gonna start now. If people would just let me do my job, this could have been negotiated already. A lawsuit in a different matter would have been filed, but I also don't think it's wise to waste taxpayer money on another lawsuit until we find out if the veto sticks or doesn't stick. If the judge comes back and says, she screwed up, the veto doesn't stick, the county board voted the way it is, and it is what it is, we're done. We get to move forward and keep going and look into that third turn lane option, or we might be able to take the road. I don't know. I don't know how much the board would like to spend on a road that needs repair, or how much the road, or how much we want to take over. Personally, yes, I've been asked this question 1,000 times. Would I like to take the road? Yes, I would like to be in control of all of our own roads. I'm disappointed what's going on Bell Road. I'm disappointed what happened to 159th Street. I almost slipped down on something. So without giving much more information and jeopardizing any future possibility of saving this road, I'm going to turn it over to some of the trustees so they can have a few words to say about this matter as well. Does any trustee like to go first?
Sure, I will. We agree with you. We do not want Orland Park. And this is just a straight through, thorough way to get to shopping. We know that. As far as the comment that was made about 159th versus 143rd, I live off 159th. I know it was zoned for commercial. I feel terrible that it is mixed zoning over on 143rd, but as the mayor states, we don't own it. You can tell that it's political season and it's upon us. Some trustees aren't here, and I get the feeling that we're taking a beating, but some of them knew it and decided not to be here. We care about your comments. We care about our residents, our neighbors, our friends, our families. We care. But there's only so much we can do. There is a thing called standing in legal proceedings. And if you don't have standing, you can't create a case. You can't even get in front of them. It seems ironic to me, without going into further detail, that you would put multiple township, village, county cases going simultaneously, all trying to do the same thing, which we're going to find out on September 12th, I believe. That's all I have to say.
Trustee McNaughton.
Yeah, thank you. I'll make it short and sweet. We are not the enemy. We are on side with you. We support you. We back you 100%. We live in Homer Glen also for a reason. We stood for election for a reason, to represent each and every single one of you, and we completely support you. So don't look at us like we're against you. We are completely walking hand in hand with you. We do not want this to happen. We're fighting it. We've been fighting it every single inch of the way. We're there with you. Thank you.
Trustee Stylen.
Thank you. I think what people wanted to hear is where we stood and how we felt about it. And I I just want to say what happened when I moved here. I moved here in 1995, and I came from the western suburbs, and I came up Highland Avenue, Lamont Road, State Street, whatever you want to call it. And the first thing I saw when I came to what was Lockport Homer Township was Stately Oaks at the corner of 143rd and State Street, Lamont Road. And I was awed by the oak trees that were there. I thought it was beautiful. And 143rd Street looked like a rural road back then to me. And when I heard that they wanted to build warehouses in that area, I was shocked. And I went to a meeting in Lockport, and that began my involvement in politics, I guess, or issues. You know, that I wasn't a politician then, but I mean, I was a volunteer. I then got involved with incorporation. For the people who've lived here for 40 or 60 years, when we incorporated, we did workshops. We had Green Vision workshops, we had comprehensive planning workshops or community development workshops, and people there were maps at tables, areas to identify for preserving, areas to identify as transportation corridors, and 143rd Street was identified in some of those workshops as kind of the main road. Not me, I'm just saying. And I think that is part of the problem with Will County. Personally, I believe, and I don't care if Will County hears it, I think that they're a little bit arrogant in their Department of Transportation in listening to us.
Yes, we might have to negotiate with them later.
So they had workshops here in the community, and I think they had more than one. I don't know if it was in 2009, but I do remember 2013, and residents came out. And I'm giving this history because there's somebody here that's only been here for a year. And residents were up in arms about the project of 143rd Street back then. And the main thing was the median. People did not want a median on that road when they widened it. And I think some people expressed that they didn't want the road widened at all, but there really wasn't an uproar when that was happening. Unfortunately, I was the one who typed up like 100 comments that people submitted to the village for that workshop. But people really did want to preserve the rural character of the road. And unfortunately, it has been voted on several times at the county level, not by anyone on this board. So it's a difficult battle because of that history. What can we do? The attorney has spoken here, the mayor has spoken here. And if you have suggestions of something that we can do that we're not doing, I think we would welcome those suggestions. One of the suggestions is, I know that the information, as I said, I thought it was on our website, but I'm not finding it when I'm looking on the phone. I'm finding some, but not as in-depth as I think it could be. I think we could add the timeline to the website would maybe be helpful for some people. And, you know, that's all I can really say is that we hear, and I know that Trustee Fialco isn't here, and I know that he attended those county meetings as well, and I'm pretty sure that Trustee Consolino and Trustee Reinders agree with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sellen. I'm gonna state a couple more things, and then I'm gonna ask for people to raise their hand and see if there's questions, because I like this. I like the open communication. Just by show of hands, and I know not everyone's gonna raise their hand, but by just show of hands, who has seen us at the Will County Board meetings? Look around the room. So why people came here and thought we were against you, I don't know where this communication's coming from. I spoke at every meeting. I've spoke on the news. I mean, we've been at the board meetings. We've been everywhere. So I want to reassure you that we're with you. And just to clarify some miscommunication that's also been out there, because I know this is at the forefront right now. We received an email today from Jeff Ronaldson because there was some confusion that there was going to be this big bridge expansion that went from 143rd Street all the way over the Des Plaines River to Plainfield. This is the email I received today. Good morning, or I should actually say Mr. Baber received it. Good morning, Joe. The WCDOT has not seen nor heard of any plans to extend 143rd Street west over the Des Plaines River, over I-55 to Plainfield. The western termini of a county highway remains at the T intersection with Illinois Route 171. So we have that in writing. So I know that a lot of people think that this is going to be a highway from Plainfield to Orland Park, which I know that the Orland Park mayor that's his wish. But that's not what we're hearing, and that's not what we're getting, and I'll hold him to this email. Other clarification, because we've been beaten up on why aren't we following the lawsuit that the township did. The township attorney had sent out an email about 143rd Street and how the township is not listed in the lawsuit. So I just want that to be clear, because a lot of people want to understand why we don't follow the township in filing the lawsuit. But I have a statement here from the attorney saying that the township is not in the lawsuit, and there was some confusion on who's paying the bills. The township, in one breath, in one agenda, they say they are paying the bills and that they are part of the lawsuit, but their attorney says the complete opposite. So I'm not sure which one's right, but that's not my job to worry about what they're doing. My job is to worry about what this board does and how we can help you, okay? So if you guys have questions for us, I want you to ask us, not the township, not your neighbor, ask us directly. Dominic, I know you had your hand raised prior. If you can speak loud.
So the village, right, has 2 miles and the township has roughly over 1 mile. What's that? So then, so the village got 1 mile and the township has 2 miles. The township already put their jurisdictional transfer in, right? So why would the village of Homer Glen had discussions with the county commissioner's attorney to drop the lawsuit? That way, the village can initiate jurisdictional transfer.
Oh, Dominic, I'm going to stop you. I don't understand what you're asking me. Are you talking about can you come up here? Sorry.
Because we couldn't hear you.
So if you're asking about who has...
I think I know what he means.
So what I'm saying is, the village has just over 1 mile on 143rd, and the township has 2 miles. Well, the township already put a jurisdictional transfer in, right? So why wouldn't the village of Homer Glen's attorney have discussions with the county commissioner's attorney to drop the lawsuit? That way the village can initiate a jurisdictional transfer. And if they nonchalantly told you about, do you want 143rd, why wouldn't you just say yeah before the executive board meeting at the beginning of the year and avoid all this?
Okay, so
we're talking about 1 mile for the village, 1 mile. That's it.
Are you done so I can answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So first and foremost, the township cannot file for a jurisdictional transfer without the village giving it to them. The village has to get it first. Hold on, Mr. Basella, I let you speak, okay? And when you say that the village has 1 mile of this 143rd expansion and the township has 2, the only section that the township has in their jurisdiction are the sections that have already been expanded. The portion that is not expanded is in the village. And when you say, why don't you just, when it was nonchalantly asked, just say yes, I'm not a strong mayor. And that doesn't mean that I'm not strong and can't handle it. That means what type of form of government we are.
But they offered the road deal.
No.
They offered it to you. So why don't you just say 1 mile, why don't you just take it?
Sir,
it's 1 mile,
I'm trying to explain to you.
But it's only 1 mile.
We're gonna do this professionally and calmly, and we're gonna talk to each other like we care, because we're on the same team, right?
Right, of course we are.
You're not on the Cubs, I'm not on the Sox. We're together on this, okay?
We're the Bears.
No, the Bears, that's right. So as a mayor, in the type of government form that we are, I do not have any jurisdiction to say yes or say no. My only job is to report it to these 6 fine trustees and give them as much information that I have and let them decide and do their homework, okay?
Right, but in that meeting, you said no.
I did not say no.
According to Jeff, you said no and didn't even bring it to the board to make a decision on that.
Okay, so I'm going to just pause you for 1 second. Were you guys, Joe, I'm going to start here. Joe, did I say no? Thank you. When this was discussed, trustees, I'm looking at you, it's kind of an open conversation here. How many times did I tell you what happened in those meetings? Every meeting that I went to?
Consistently, and I think
If you could turn your mics on just so everyone can hear.
consistently, you told us if we weren't available to be there, you told us what was transpiring. You kept us in the loop constantly. I think what
New
we need to-
business,
I think
right?
what we
Isn't that
need
what
to-
new
I
business
think-
is for?
I'm still
No,
speaking.
sir.
No, it's not?
No, it's
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Not for land acquisition.
Okay.
I think what we need to do is have a question and answer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to be an argument. It's not
No,
going to
we're
be,
not
no,
arguing.
right
We're
now,
not
you just overtalked me.
Oh, sorry.
But no, I'm just saying.
Guys, point of
We're
order.
letting you speak, right, we're letting you speak, but I think what we need to do is have some kind of order and respect. And I think what we need to do is, you can ask the questions, we'll do the best of our ability, but we can't go back and forth because there's a room full of people that have questions as well.
If anyone else wants to.
There's a room full of people that have questions as well.
All right, so what we're going to do is, if you guys have a question, we're going to have you come up to the podium, ask the question, and then we're going to ask you to sit back down so we can answer without interruptions. We're going to do this the best we can. I'm being very polite with this, okay? And just to answer, sir, you can come up to the podium. You guys can line up if you'd like, but just to answer Mr. Pacella's question, so when it's land acquisition, no, that does not go under old business or new business. It goes under executive session for the board to discuss any negotiation powers that we have. If we discuss it out in the open, we lose any possible negotiation powers that we have. Yes, sir.
Okay, two things. One, this was the township.
Correct.
I wish you would have signed it. You should have signed it.
Mr. Balich?
Yes.
I believe, so when I spoke to Ms. Shake today, Trustee Shake, I had asked her who typed this and who, because I was thankful. I was appreciative that they finally came out and told the truth. And not that they were lying, it's just a little confusion of what they were saying, and it was getting reported to us, and especially since it contradicted what this said. Ms. Shake had stated that the attorney, their township attorney, had done this.
Okay, now we know who it is. The other thing is, I got a question, and I always think of this as ammunition. Since 159th Street, after decades of construction, it seemed, is completed, I take it a fair amount of time from Parker over to Wolf Road. I was going back and forth. And I noticed I didn't care if it was rush hour or the middle of the day. There was not a whole lot of traffic on there for the size of that road. And I was told that 143rd was also supposed to accommodate truck traffic out of the warehousing area, which doesn't need 143rd when they have easy access to 159th. Is that a study that was ever done, is what's the traffic pattern on 159th, to say, hey, it's not that much, why do we have to expand 143rd?
Right, so 143rd Street is currently not deemed a truck route, but in their 2019 plan, it is. So that's what we were trying to stop, number one. Number two, we, the village, have done, and without giving, wink, here, without giving too much information, we are doing a lot of studies on 159th Street.
Good.
Yes.
Glad you're doing it. Okay.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? We're here. I'm glad you guys are here. Let's discuss it.
I think things can go really wrong without communication.
I agree.
Okay? Right today, before I came to the meeting, I looked just to make sure that I wasn't missing anything before I got up and spoke, that I don't know what's going on. We need to know what's going on, and you don't have to give us the details. The fact that you're saying that tell me this is what I got out of this today, is that if the county, the board members that are suing the executive, that if that doesn't go through, if they find that there is no merit and they drop the case, we are not going to let this die.
No, we will not.
As a village, we are not going to let, that's what you're telling me?
Yes. So,
okay, I think that's what people needed to hear.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you done? I didn't want to cut you off. Okay, no, you could stay there. You ever play the game where you're like, all right, that one's done, here's my next best card? That's kind of where we're at right now. And you said you had looked on the website. Mr. Baber, do we have it posted or do we not? Because the last time I did ask where the updates are, there is updates on 143rd Street. We posted it on Facebook multiple times and our website, correct?
It says the 26th. The only thing I could find.
What date?
It said that we were going to court on July 26th. That's the last one I could find. Now, I could be wrong. I could be.
I'm not communications director, so I just do the work and they communicate for us. I'm sorry, Taylor, do you have it?
Yeah, let me pull it up. I'm on development services. It's on development services department under road construction.
Okay, see, there's a section you guys have, it says 143rd.
Yeah.
And it's not in there.
And when you do it,
go ahead.
And when you do, this is the kind of things that we're talking about, because I just searched 143rd Street and I did not find it. And, you know, because you think you're supposed to be able to use the search bar. And then I tried 143rd Street update, and I think I got the section that you're talking about.
Okay.
So we have to work on a way that people can find it easier.
Right.
And so we're now aware of that.
And I know many of the trustees were there. I went to many of the Will County meetings. I spoke at many of them as well. And honestly, I do believe that we had an impact.
I do, I agree.
Yes.
And we applaud you.
We had an impact on the emotions of the people, because they said, I wouldn't want my house or my parents' house or my children's house destroyed or their neighborhoods destroyed, you know, to put in this road, which, you know, is a very short road that isn't going to impact or make a big difference except to destroy and not to make things better. So I think from my perspective, if I had known this stuff, I wouldn't be here tonight.
I appreciate that.
And I feel that you guys were there. I saw many of you. I saw the trustees, you know, some of them that came both from the township and from the village. And I appreciate that, because I know how much time I've spent. I can't even imagine the amount of time you guys have spent. But we don't know that. You see what I mean? Not everyone knows that. And then after all that stopped in Will County, we didn't see anything more. So we assumed there was nothing more. Does that make sense?
100%. And I actually appreciate your constructive criticism. We need to hear that too. We're so involved in the day-to-day activities. I'll be honest, I don't go to the website to see what's happening because I live it. I do it every single day, 8 hours a day, and sometimes 24 hours a day. So I don't go to check and see. But that's great for us to hear. Staff hears it, we hear it.
Well, and maybe even for people like us that are coming to these meetings and everything, that we give you our emails, and when something new comes up on 143rd, an email is shot out to those people, and they now know what's going on. So we keep people in the loop, because again, a lack of communication destroys anything.
I see Joe with his pen and paper over there. If everyone would like to leave their email addresses on their way out, we'll be able to start that for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Mrs. Hayes.
So I have a crazy question. This might be
no question is crazy.
completely out of the realm, but okay, whether it gets vetoed or not, let's just pretend everything goes our way. We do not get 5 lanes. Yay. Are we going to leave 143rd Street alone? Or are we going to do something to it? And I wonder why. Like we said, it isn't the commercial corridor. So what exactly is the purpose, other than, I mean, I know for the school, it's difficult in front of Reed School and probably Goodings Grove. Of course, I live closer to Reed, so that's my world. So I do understand that, you know, in the mornings when people are trying to drop kids off, I can understand that a turning lane could help. But again, when you talk about the rule of our community and the way that it looks, I mean, I don't have any sidewalks, I don't have any streetlights, I can't walk my dog at night on a sidewalk in the streetlights, but I also don't want any. I don't need a sidewalk and I don't need streetlights. So I'm just
happy
curious.
to answer those questions.
Great.
So currently, as it sits right now, the county still owns 143rd Street. So your question was, if the judge ruled with the county board members and said her veto doesn't count, it would go back to the option of them adopting the new transportation plan of the turn lane only. But what it did not include was, did it have curbs and sewers or swales? And from what I understand, this is where me and Mr. Balich had butted heads and why they were trying to figure out what study to do, because I am telling them to do one with curbs and sewers, and Mr. Balich was saying do one with swales. Not saying he's wrong, and not saying that I'm wrong, but it's just that we had two different visions because we understood things in two different ways. So they would currently, if the veto did not stick, would have the jurisdiction to say, A, we're going to continue on with this transportation plan of a third lane and keep the road, or B, the village can step in and say, hey, let's play negotiations, and either A, we take the road and do our own plan, but you have to remember, that's going to come with a hefty bill. Now, if they were to do a third lane only, the turn lane I'm referencing, IDOT would not give them funds to pay for that road. So that would come out of the Will County funds, which is why I said, has there ever been a time that the county has used their own money for roads in the village of Homer Glen? And their answer was no. And my response was, well, I think it's time.
Okay.
Okay?
Great, thanks.
Yep. Hi, welcome
Hello
back.
again. Thank you. So my first comment, a lot of people are confused about the 159th, 143rd, because the 159th was a state project.
Yes, correct.
And 143rd is a county project. Correct. So that's like a totally different situation. So that's why there was some duplicity and a bunch of confusion. But what I don't want to see happen is complacency. You know, we've got a lot of good people here. We've got people that are pulling for us, but we all have to stay active. You know, there's a few people in this room that are staying active and are very passionate, and I wish we could all get that passion to go and work together. But when we don't get information, it kind of creates a, well, nothing's happening, you know. I didn't get a bill in the mail, so I don't have to pay it. You know, and that's what I think has happened a lot since this whole lawsuit has happened. There's been a freeze, like nothing's going on. But at the same time, the county board is still sneaking in little curtails of information on, oh yeah, well, we want to continue the project. You know, even though there's been a veto and then that was overturned or might be overturned or whatever the whole situation is, but they sneak things in. And that's what I was talking about government. We got to watch them. You have to watch them. You have to go to the meetings and you have to have your friends go. And if you're not physically able, then, you know, there are good websites out there that can tell you what's going on. But we need to continue being in communication, and I like the idea of starting a list with people's emails, or even on the website, to just put anyone who's affected by 143rd, sign up and get in. Did you say it's called Civic or whatever?
Civic Ready is our communication program that we have.
So can we maybe tie that into this 143rd project so that...
I would love if every resident came to every meeting or signed up for every form of communication we had. It would make my job a lot easier.
You would get sick of me.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't, not at all.
But thank you.
No, and I do appreciate, we did establish that the village needs to do better at communications. I agree with you 100% on that. Hi.
Hi, my name is Colleen Pavelka. This is my first time meeting because my husband talks my ears off of politics and I'd rather not talk about it anymore. Is there a limit on how many times a person, or I'm sorry, how many people can talk? Because I did put my name on the list.
You know what, as soon as you said your name, I think I skipped you.
That's okay.
I'm so sorry. I saw your name and you can talk.
No worries, no worries. I have just a couple more questions.
Sure.
And then the last question is not about 143rd.
Okay.
So my backyard is 143rd, literally close. I have a pool with 4 kids. We built a patio during COVID, and the rule is there's no cell phones at the patio with the fire pit. If it's expanded, all of my pool and the patio will be gone.
I think I know what house you are.
So everything with that we do as a family, and I know it's shocking, a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 14-year-old girl do not use their cell phones at the fire pit. That is our rule, and that will be taken away, and we built that as a family during COVID during that time. So I know one day my daughter's bedroom faces the corner, and we watched how many cars went by on a Friday at 4:45. So when you say you're doing the studies, I believe it. We counted 7 cars going through a green light, and then there was a pause of nothing. I came from living at 63rd and Cicero, where you had to sit at a light.
I know the area well.
For 25 minutes to get over the bridge to get at Fort City Mall back in the day, still at this time. I live where the house shook because the airplane was the runway of my house, was the whole house. Which I know sound, hence why it came out this way. I do work at around Archer and Harlem, and that is traffic. Cicero and 63rd, that is what we call traffic, not what on 143rd. Not when I saw 7 cars on a Friday, which we consider 445, you know, major traffic, and we watched 7 cars going by, and then there was nothing. And I'm like, I'll show them traffic.
Yeah.
Come drive over the bridge at 63rd and Cicero to 71st, which is a mile, and try to get over that in a couple of minutes. You'll be there 45 minutes. I've lived it. I still drive it on Archer and Harlem. The other question is, so that's all I have to say.
Yeah. And you're allowed to say whatever else on any other matter, because I totally skipped you.
The banners that you have out there for the veterans, will you be having them out all the time, or will they be taken down at some point? Because my father's out there.
Oh, well, thank you. So for the first 2 years of the banner purchase, they will be up from May, Memorial Day, until Veterans Day, and then we take them down for the winter months and put up our Christmas decorations, but then they will go up again for the next year, and then we will retire the banner with you.
That is
You're
exactly
very
what
welcome.
I wanted to hear.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
And then we hope you display it somewhere at your home.
Oh, no worries.
Okay, so, oh, come on, sorry. Didn't see you over there.
Hi, I'm Jeannie. I've spoken before.
Yes.
My questions to you guys are, have there been EPA studies before we talk about curbs and runoffs and swales? Because not only is Orland taken over, but so is Lockport. And no offense, I don't like how Lockport looks. That big industrial park obviously is affecting us because there was lots and lots of trees there. I happen to have 2 properties in Homer Glen. Both are being affected, one by 143rd and one by Lockport, because I back up to them. I happen to have a farm out on 167th, right down the street from Kono. So environmental studies are really, really kind of important, and if you guys have done them, where can we find them? So maybe we could get the EPA involved too. The EPA was involved with 355 and a Little Frog. Maybe we could get them involved with the trees and with the pollution and with all that stuff.
We have our very own trustee Sue Stylen, who is like the #1 environment safety bulldog that we have in this entire village. So if a study does need to be done, if we were to take over the road, she would, trust me, make sure that it gets done.
I'm not talking about just us, but also Will County.
Yes, so Will County had done some studies, which we were trying to receive from them at one point. I think Ms. Heidi might have received some studies that she had shared with us back in the day, maybe even a year or so ago, on that stuff. So yes, they have done some studies, yes.
And do we have access to them, or do we have to file a Freedom of Information thing with the county to get them?
Thanks to Heidi,
Excellent, thank you. Okay.
She has that information that she provided us. You can either
The
ask.
more people we can have help us.
Yes, I agree.
The more we can do, well, listen, I'm willing to sit out there with a sign if I need to.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want my property impacted because I live in the same subdivision as your parents do.
Yes.
And those walls at 143rd are going to be an eyesore. An absolute eyesore. You might as well have 294. And the noise right now from the trucks that are just leaving that industrial park, we could hear. So if the transportation route's going to bring them down, it's only going to benefit Lockport and Orland Park, really not our village. So
Those poor sheep.
Let's all stick together, guys. The poor sheep.
The poor sheep.
Right? The poor sheep. The poor animals. The poor people. Like,
Yes, yeah.
especially all of us.
I was going to talk about that too once. Oh, now I see someone else. Hi.
So bear with some of us, because we're wondering with the lawsuit that's in play, I don't understand how there is, I'm not a lawyer, how there is no way to have some sort of cease and desist while that's in play, or how, while this is all going on, how can the quick take be halted or temporarily stopped? People are very scared, and because of what the general consensus was, there was a lack of communication, or maybe there's just too many little, like, I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on any social media. As a matter of fact, I don't even use email, to be honest with you. So I'm like,
middle-aged, like way old school, but like, how can people feel or understand that these things can't happen? Meaning we can't put a pause on the quick take. Like, there's no power for us to be able to do that. Is this all based on the fact that it's a county road and this all has to go through the county for the cease and desist on the quick take, or just even, I mean, the road's moving forward?
I'm going to revert to the attorney on this because I'm not an attorney either, and I
might have missed something in the earlier conversation, but like, I'm under the impression that while we're fighting with Jennifer about her veto, like, that's like completely like over here, but meanwhile, everything that we're dealing with in reality is still over here, and it's like rolling, and like, we're freaking out.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot to talk about that.
I'm just saying.
While I was speaking earlier,
I think
but
that's why everybody's here, to be honest with you.
yes, so the attorney can touch base and.
Sure. So it at least appears right now that the lawsuit that was filed is being considered by the courts as an injunction lawsuit. So while they're fighting over a veto, but it's filed as an injunction. So people could say that it's still going on, and I think that's the argument that the state's attorney is making on behalf of the executive, that the plaintiffs, in this case the county commissioners, are stopped or prevented from making the argument that they're making because they then adopted the transportation plan subsequent to the filing of the lawsuit. I'm still viewing this as an injunction that it can't go forward while this is happening. Quick take, same thing. Even quick take, there's 2 or 3 ways to do a quick take. Once through Springfield, once through the court system. Either way would be made aware of the ongoing litigation. So at this point in time, while you're right to be concerned, you're right to be questioning what's going on and asking for updates, it's our position that right now with this injunction still pending, that it's not still, nothing's moving forward. There may be a plan to move it forward, but nothing's moving forward currently. The other thing is, with the motion to dismiss pending, an actual injunction probably wouldn't be issued by the court, and I've known Judge Barrett and his family for 35, 40 years. He's a smart man. He understands how this works. I think he's probably going to rule on the motion to dismiss. Then he may potentially issue a temporary restraining order, which would be short of a full injunction. That remains to be seen, because we have, like I said, there's a court date of September 12th. I believe he will rule on the motion to dismiss at that time. And then, you know, like the mayor said, I didn't want to, you know, show our cards either. I didn't want to say, well, if this happens, we're going to do this. But we do have contingencies in place. We have plans all charted out. If it goes this way, we're going to do this. If it goes this way, we're going to do that. Some of it involves legal. If, like the mayor said, if some of the legal things go the way that we're hoping, then the village board can go back to negotiating a potential resolution with the county. But I don't see anything moving forward where we have concern right now. And of course, September 12th will tell us more.
And on that topic, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no longer a cease and desist. Am I correct? It's only an injunction. Because I think in the beginning they had that in there, and then I think I heard from a county member that it was no longer because it wasn't supported.
May I?
Yeah.
Okay. Cease and desist, I mean, that's the problem when people start talking about, you know, lawsuits and legal matters that aren't attorneys. A cease and desist is really something that's done via a letter, not via a lawsuit. So in other words, if I was representing someone that had a trademark and I found out someone was using that trademark without my client's permission, I would send them a letter saying cease and desist, and that would be the first shot across the bow, and if they didn't, then I'd file a lawsuit. So cease and desist is a term that really has no bearing on civil litigation. There is no civil tort of cease and desist or cause of action called cease and desist. You would move for a temporary restraining order and then a temporary injunction, which is a little bit longer but less than a permanent injunction, then potentially a permanent injunction. Those would be the steps you take in litigation.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Also, I just wanted to say that this wasn't a personal attack on anyone or the board. Don't mistake my passion and my red flaring face as an attack. So I just want to make that clear. This is professional when I'm up here. This is business related, and that's how I view it, this relationship right now. I wanted to touch base on the lady that brought up the environmental studies. I have FOIA'd the county for many things, and I have received a lot of the old feedback from the original studies. So if anyone wants that, it's very large amounts of files and links that the Will County FOIA officer sent me. There's all kinds of feedback you can read from 20 years ago. Recently, I did also ask for all the recent studies, and from my understanding, the environmental studies, they do expire. So I'm wondering, after so many years and decades, if they are redoing these because they kind of get stale, and there is a study that they did not give me, so I'm wondering if they're still doing it or they just didn't do it. So that is something that I hope someone can find that out. That probably would be pertinent information regarding the project. I also was going to bring up, when Jennifer Bertino-Tarrant mentions the 6 million, let's put it in perspective. This isn't just in a day, this is over 20 years. So that's, 300,000 a year, which is peanuts to the county. So I'm not saying you guys need to pay that back. I'm just putting that in perspective. When they say they've already spent 6 million, that's over 2 decades. So, and then when moving forward, that's tens of millions of dollars moving forward. Also, there's one other thing I was gonna bring up. Just money-wise, I was just wondering, the village has purchased, a piece of land for $800,000. You did a study for $130,000. That's almost $1 million right there. So you talk about money, it just seems as though the money is just kind of everywhere in all entities. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Sure. I can address a couple of those if you want to stay up there. Sure. So what you mentioned about the EPA, that's part of something that we're looking into, okay? What you just stated about that without giving too much information. When you stated about $6 million, that was just to give to them. That doesn't include us then taking the road and fixing the road or doing any additional studies or anything else. Now we're talking multi-million dollars, like tens, 20s, millions of dollars to do additional work on that road, depending on what we plan to do or whatever the board should do, if they were to give us the road in the first place. And you're comparing $800,000 on a land purchase to $6 million just to give to someone, which quite frankly, when I was offered that, I didn't even know if that was legal. If someone can say, give me $6 million and I'll give you a road, that sort of seemed like weird to me. So I didn't, actually I didn't even know how to respond to that. I didn't want to put anybody in a situation. We talked to council, it's not just $6 million. There's more money that's involved with that.
When I brought that up, I didn't mean when you said the 6 million, when she said like, oh, you owe me 6 million. I meant in previous county meetings, she brought that up after the resolution. She was saying, well, we the county already spent 6 million, so it's worth for the county to finish it through. And I was merely saying the 6 million through 20 years is nothing. That's all. I didn't mean what you were saying, what she told you.
I don't even know if she was referring to the $6 million they spent, because there was $6 million that they were supposed to get from the Will County, what was it? It was a grant. It was the grant that I think they were referring to, not what they had already spent. So I don't even think she was referring to that, which could have been an additional cost. There was so many moments in that, variables in that conversation, that I wasn't putting myself or this village in a predicament to start spending multi-million dollars and not know where it's coming from. Yes.
Hi. Naila Halim. I've been here since 1998, when there was like no stoplights, no traffic, no noise, no bright lights.
Do you remember when
sirens.
the last flashing light was taken out on Parker Road and 143rd?
143rd and Wilcook was just stop signs, like 151st.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it was a quiet. When they expanded 143rd between Wilcook and Bell Road, they said, oh, this is where it's going to stop. Nowhere was it said to us that they were going to move forward and continue between that area, especially because everyone's houses is there. Instead of just constantly telling us what you guys did in the past, can you just tell us what you're going to do now? Because all I heard for this whole time was, we did this, we said that, she said this, she said that. It's really all the meetings. Every time this subject comes up, all we hear about is who said what, who did what. Just want to come to a meeting or watch a meeting from home and hear, this is what we're doing for this community. It just makes it sound like you guys have no control over 143rd and it's going to be a done deal whether we like it or not. I have never heard anything said, this is what's going to happen. And by the way, I never gave the township my email, yet they have it. I don't know how come you don't have it if they have it. How did they get it? I don't know. I get emails and I never signed up for anything.
It's funny, I signed up for it and I haven't received one. Same.
I mean, it's just also, you need more transparency on your website.
We agree.
There's so much stuff on Facebook, you just don't know who's, what, where. Stop. Just don't argue with the people. You guys are our representatives. I don't care if my neighbor doesn't like you and I like you. I don't need you guys to fight on Facebook about it. I want everything to be transparent on your website, because when you go on your website, there's a lot of stuff that's not there. The water thing, it didn't affect my neighborhood. I knew to right away go to Illinois American Water, put in my address, and find out what's going on. Nobody mentioned to anyone to do that. Everyone was just like, well, I'm sorry. Oh, it's because I know so-and-so. That's why we talked about it. This is another transparency thing. Your website, it should have been immediately on your website. Put your address in, Illinois American Water, find out what's going on. Not arguing over everything. This is all I've heard since this. When I moved here, there wasn't a village of Homer Glen. We were unincorporated Orland. My taxes were a heck of a lot nicer than they are now. Then Progress came and they built all the farm out where Home Depot, all that was empty farmland when I moved here. Progress is going to keep coming, but they promised us in the beginning that 143rd, it was going to stop at Bell Road. That's where you have to go back to who said what and what to do with that. And stop constantly rehashing who said everything all this year, all the past year. It seems like this is a done deal because it's been ongoing for over 20 years that I've been here. But yet now everybody's being told about it because somebody in the government, not you guys maybe, but somebody here in our village, township, whatever you want to call it, signed off on this and said this is going to happen. And this veto thing is because probably, as the US government, I'm sorry to say this, somebody paid somebody and said, wait, nope, we're doing this whether you like it or not. So I just want to move forward and hear that you guys are doing something not like what you talked about 20 years ago. Now.
So I can talk to some of the points you made. We answered questions of how we got to where we are, and that's why we reiterated the past. Some clarification needed to be stated on who, what, where, when, and why. When you say arguing on Facebook, I don't argue with anybody on Facebook. I post stuff about my kids, or I give updates, just like with this Illinois American Water issue that we had, which I'm going to talk about in my report, but I knew everyone was here for 143rd Street, so I was going to save that for later. Trustee Mason doesn't even have Facebook. Craig's barely on it, and Sue always reports about environment. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I can say that at some points when the village was receiving emails, because someone said it was supposed to stop, you said it was supposed to stop here and not pick up here. And believe it or not, when I called the previous mayor, George Yukich, he was under the impression that it was only going to be a turn lane. And I remember when I first came into this village hall, I said, I'm hearing it's 5 lanes. When did it change from 3 lanes to 5 lanes? Because we were always told it was 3 lanes. We had lost some employees along the way, and those emails were being sent to other employees that weren't getting brought to us. We hired a new employee, and as soon as she started investigating, pieces started coming out about the expansion. So to answer, I know you don't want to go back in the past, and I know you want to hear how we're going to move forward. The unfortunate thing is, as I stated before, I'm telling you that we have plans. Depending on which lane we need to take and what happens, that would be our method to our madness, which way we're going to go. I don't feel it is in the best interest for the village or the residents to be open so they can hear what we're doing. And again, I know that may disappoint you and upset you, but I'm willing to take that just to protect our plan. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Rhonda Perfetto-Pawelski. I don't reside in the village, but my family does. And they've been going through this the egress and ingress, because they live right off 143rd as well, a driveway like some of you spoke about with concern. So we've been living this out for many years now. As a former trustee on a different village board in the early 2000s, I can tell you it's a thankless job. And complacency, somebody mentioned, if I knew what your feelings were, I wouldn't have come to this meeting. I have to say, you always need to come. You don't have to say anything, but bodies say it alone. These people that are here now are here for a reason. The ones that aren't here, I know nothing about this village board. I do know some of your previous village boards and mayors, and the gatekeeper, Paula Waldrick, when she was here, because we lost her from our community, and I loved her dearly.
I had nothing to do with it.
May she rest in peace. Well, you would have loved her. I guarantee you all would have loved her. Regardless, these people here can't read your mind if you're not in the seats. So you have to show up. Just show that you care. Complacency happens. It's a two-way street. So if they're sitting in this board meeting and there's a bunch of topics and there's 2 people here, what do you think they're going to think? Well, they don't care, so I don't care. So again, it's a two-way street. You guys are here for a reason. You're public servants, and you know that, and you're serving the public. It's not a spectator sport. Everybody needs to get involved.
I agree.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna close it after you. No, you can come on up. But we're gonna close it after, because I think we are all on the same page now.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for this session. This has been so enlightening. Everybody's sharing. I cannot tell you, my blood pressure has now come back to normal. Thank you so much.
Don't talk to me about blood pressure.
Oh, yeah, no, don't tell me about blood pressure, too. So, I came here in 1965 down here when I was doing horses and stuff like that, so I hate even probably sooner than that. So, even though I'm only like 30. So I remember gravel roads and stuff like that down here. A couple quick questions. If you guys do the widening, or they're gonna do the turn lanes, and you think about taking up land, I'm just gonna throw this out because I'm a girl that's half full as opposed to half empty kind of a glass. Let's think positive that we've got control of 143rd Street, but I'm concerned about now my fence line, so I don't want my fence line taken down because of the security of my animals. Also, the question too was Kim said to me too, which I was thinking too, why we're so concerned about all the monies on 143rd Street if we are able to maintain it. Why do we think that it's so expensive that it's going to need so much money to maintain it? I clean up all my garbage along my front for the most part, so nobody has to do garbage pickup along there too. So, so that's why my question is, you know,
Sure.
Does it really need to be totally repaved? Does it need millions of dollars of repair?
So if we're using the idea as if the veto doesn't stick, right?
Right.
So if the veto doesn't stick, again, the county still has jurisdiction to do as that board so chooses. If they choose to make it a turn lane with curbs or no curbs, this what's happening right here needs to happen there with us by your side, as we have done in the past. And we need to voice our voices collectively and let them know what our plan is. If they were to hand it over to us and say, here, it's your problem, or now it's your road, as mayor, and I'm sure the board, even though the ones aren't here, I'm pretty positive that they would agree that we would halt on everything, have this little kumbaya moment again.
Gotcha.
Hear everybody out, take driveway by driveway, address by address, location, area, because not your driveway is not the same as hers or his. Everybody has a different situation going on. And when I first came in, Brett Westcott's not here, but one of the first residents I heard that had a concern was the owner of Old Oak. He really did not want to lose his trees because that's his fence line so the balls don't hit our cars. I remember my first week living out here, a ball hit our window.
Oh, God.
And my dad was driving, and oof, that was terrifying. But the first thing I did is I went to Brett Westcott and said, how do we save these trees? How do we figure this out? It took him a week. He called me and said, we found a way. We called Mr. Leoponis and said, your trees aren't going anywhere. That's how we would do this. We would meet with everybody. Now, I get it, can't go like this down the road, right? We're gonna have to collectively work together to keep the rural feel of the town and see how much it's gonna cost. We don't know.
And lastly, if you do put the turn lane in, well, the center lane, will that be all the way, this whole section? You think, once again,
No, I
positive,
understand.
because the reason being is that when people come off of 355, they're driving 60 and 70 miles an hour. If they get the light and somebody's in that turn lane, let's see, somebody's trying to turn right, let's say near their driveway, and there's that center lane, they're gonna come zooming around, so it's a safety thing. So we have to be careful. So, and I'm gonna throw one more thing out there, maybe lower the speed limit.
So it's funny you mentioned that because you just reminded me when we were in that meeting with Jennifer Tarrant, Jeff Ronaldson, and Mike, I forgot his last name. That's exactly what we talked about, was that center lane. I kept referring it to a different name, but it was a center lane that you could turn left or right from either direction. But if you look at the road as a whole, as its entirety, there's not areas where you would need even that, where the road is thinner, but there's areas where it's wider, and there is a part of that road that we do have a lot of accidents on. Now, majority of them included drunk driving, but it's a blind spot. We need to look at that as well. So yeah, there would be a lot of homework that we would need to do, and that would be, years down the road before we would even start.
Good.
Okay? Thank you. Oh, okay.
Why doesn't the village just take over the road and keep it as it is with safety precautions? And you collect MFT, don't you collect MFT funds?
I would love to. That was the plan.
But what about the MFT? I mean, if you have a village-owned road, you get MFT funds, am I mistaken?
Heidi, that was the plan until we got told until our voices were drowned. So that was our plan. And I just wanted to leave you guys with one little note, because I forgot to mention this earlier. I don't want anyone to think for a second that our attorneys aren't in constant communication with the township attorneys and the attorney who is representing the county. They have conversations all the time who then inform us on what's going on in executive session. So I don't want everyone thinking that we're just not talking to them, but I think that I'm very happy that this happened tonight. I hope you guys are too. I hope we keep this communication going. I know I didn't see a notepad going around to circulate your emails, but call the village tomorrow, sign up for Civic Ready, let us know that you're part of the 143rd. We'll start a constant contact page and get out information as soon as we get it. And once we have a plan or know what's happening on September 12th, 13th, 12th, we'll keep you guys informed, okay? All right. You guys want to stay for the rest of the meeting, or you guys want to head out? I know you guys have been here long enough. You're very welcome, guys. Okay. I still have some old business, wait. Just a couple of old business. You guys can leave if you want to. We can talk amongst ourselves up here. I know we had talked at the last board meeting about changing the agenda around a little bit.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody had responded to that or had sent an email to like your ideas, your thoughts, or your concerns about how you want to change it up. It's okay, we don't have half the board here anyways, but when you guys have time, look into that. When you came in today, I provided you, or Gia, thank you, Gia, provided you guys with an ordinance about calling in. So one of our first board meetings, you guys had voted, I believe it was 2 to 4 about not allowing Zoom calls. And the reason why this got brought up is because obviously we know that Trustee Reiners is home to an illness, and she would have really liked to have heard everything that at least went on today. So I'm not saying you have to change it, but I'd really like you guys to take a second look at this ordinance and consider at least allowing, if a medical emergency takes place, to allow trustees to phone in. We also talked about forms of government. We were planning on having a workshop. That's going to be at our next board meeting. So if you guys have questions or thoughts or ideas, come prepared. Village Manager Joe Baber had provided you guys with these fun little books that you see here. I hope to have you guys read it by, tomorrow. Just a reminder, school started, everyone drive slow. You know, our bus drivers are just trying to learn their paths now, drop off, pick up. My kids are late every day and the bus is late picking them up. If we could all just make sure that we drive slow and stop when the arms are out. The Stallions had their homecoming. I'd like to give a shout out to Brittany Parro. She did an amazing job on the video and interviewing everybody. There was a little guy named Griffin. I think he was 10 years old. He was the cutest thing I've ever seen. And then I thought it was really cool that we had Larry Kilmer on there. The field is named after his son, who had passed away from brain cancer. So I really think it was great that she did this video. That is what I want to see more of our village doing, is promoting our local organizations, our businesses and stuff like that in a positive light. And I was going to ask Trustee Fialco, but he's not here because he had stated at one meeting that he no longer wanted to be on the Homerfest committee. So I wanted to ask you guys how we want to move forward about appointing and how we're going to, if he wants to be on another committee or what he wants to do, but obviously he's not here to talk about it. The other thing, real quick, was what happened over the last few days. Village Manager Joe Baber had touched base on it about the boil alert. Runnings had donated 9 cases of what? No, okay, never mind, I'm totally lying. Who? 4 pallets? Who did? Runnings? Oh, Runnings donated 4 pallets of water because we are still currently in the boil alert. And IAW donated 9 pallets, 5 pallets. You got me all mixed up. 5 pallets of water, so 9 total. If you are affected by the boil alert, we will have the bottles of water out front between 9 o'clock a.m. and 1 o'clock p.m. We ask that you, if you're a resident that is affected by this, that you are the only residents to pick up the water. Please let the residents who are affected have that water. We did ask Illinois American Water for an apology to all the residents. We know this was an issue that was concerned us. Water is an essential. We need water, especially on one of the hottest days that I can remember this summer. So they are going to send us an update. They continuously keep us updated. Joe has been on the phone nonstop 24/7 with Illinois American Water trying to get an update. And as we know, we will let you know. If you are not signed up for Civic Ready, as you've heard multiple times tonight, it is the best time to get on it because you get alerts for everything. And you have control of what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear. Okay. I'm done talking for the night. Is there new business? Any more new business?
No, ma'am.
No workshop. We do need to go into executive session for a nod. Yeah? What are we going into executive session for? Land acquisition. Anything else? Potential lawsuit? No, just land acquisition. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Mason or McNaughton?
I'll second.
Stylen? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
5-minute break?
5-minute break. I'm going to go say hi to my parents.